All right. Hi there. Hello.
Hi,
Hi.
how are you?
Good.
How's your mom?
She's doing great. She just went to bed. I kind of have to pack her off.
I know it's late.
Her out of the living room so that I can start, because the afternoon class, I'm doing it in a back bedroom. But so that's fine. It's for me 5:30 to 8:30 is fine. But now it's 9:30 p.m. for me when I'm starting this class. And the person who goes to sleep in that room doesn't go to sleep till like 10 or 10:30. It doesn't work for me to start the class 9:30 and at 10 give them a break to move all my stuff over. So I said, if I'm going to do that, I can do it at break time, like my 10:45, 11, or we do it now. So we just kind of hustled everyone out, got to go to sleep early, and I moved into the living room or the dining room where so now I don't have to interrupt. I don't mind waiting, in the middle for giving you guys a little bit of a wonky break, but not as early as 9, as 10 p.m. So we just had to hustle because I had everything set up from the afternoon in the other room. But the good news is that I have an incredibly good connection. And in the afternoon, I was in that room and it worked flawlessly. And now I'm on top of the new 5G Wi-Fi. So when I moved to this room, I can't conceive of even a blip. I hope. So today went perfectly well. Today went flawlessly and for the other class, nary peep on the Wi-Fi side of things. And as I'm letting everyone in, I'm chit-chatting a bit, but meanwhile, you guys go to the chat and, give me your little hello from the chat. And those of you who are on VDI to please go and sign into VDI and do all that, sign in. Although I think that I scared the last VDI person off. In which case, maybe I should be teaching with my own personal Photoshop instead of on VDI, but in case someone arrives, I'll have to leave it on. There was a woman who was following the class on VDI who said it was getting too hard because I'm kind of, you might have noticed, glossing over the basics. And she said we were going too fast. And it's just that when most of you guys, except for one, already did the class, I don't want to repeat the whole thing. I hate losing new people, but yeah. So I didn't kind of write to her and appease her and tell her I'd go slow because I didn't want to do that for one person. So I think I've scared her off. Anyway, I'm sure you guys don't mind that I'm going to go. So plan B, if when Photoshop comes in the fall, if I don't have enough students, because usually I collect new people over the summer, then maybe I might remind you guys that maybe you have to sign up for the class so that I have enough students. Usually I have way too many for Photoshop, but now and then, since we're kind of waffling between the in-person or online, it's a mess here, you guys. You don't know the insides of the school's politics around the being in person or on Wi-Fi is crazy. I'm trying to have a working vacation here. Like I'm connecting for classes and I'm trying to disconnect and being with my family and the rest of the time. And it's hard because as teachers, there's so much going on that we're all kind of, supposed to be really paying attention right now. So anyway, you tried to watch part 2 of the last class and it kept getting a spinning wheel.
One of those progress wheels going around and around and around.
That sounds obnoxious.
That okay, and then when I tried to advance it so I could get to the middle part that I needed to watch, it kept trying to load for about 30 minutes.
Well, did you do it right when I emailed you?
No,
because I
did
jumped.
about a half an hour ago,
Oh, that's not good news. Because I jumped the gun. I emailed you all guys saying, hey, they're up and ready. When they were still, I thought they were done loading and they were still loading. So I thought, oh, I hope no one like right now clicks on them. But if you did it half an hour ago, they should be up and running. And I don't know, I guess I'll have to check. They've, once I upload them onto YouTube, then it's not my connection anymore. Then
Right.
it's YouTube serving it to you. So I don't know. But
like mine.
my only question is, was there a glitch in the recording? Like, was there a problem? Did anyone at all watch the part 2 of last class? Bonnie, you did? And it went, I can't hear you, but I'm assuming you're kind of nodding that it was good.
It
I
was
did.
fine. I only went to the
This-
end where I needed to hear it, and
Uh-huh.
it was just fine.
Okay, well, Penelope couldn't see the middle part of it. Did
Started
someone
out
see?
By the
What's that?
middle, I did the last hour, so there was this part 2. I did part
All
2.
right, well,
What I was trying to
It-
see, so. Oh, well.
if someone tried to see the middle and they could see it, then it's just Penelope. If no one could see the middle, you saw it, Peggy? Or,
Yeah, I just watched it just now. I just ran through the whole
and it
thing.
ran through.
Yeah.
Okay, so then it's probably your connection is fluctuating or something, Penelope, I don't know. It's disconnect, once I upload it, it's not my connection anymore. And Peggy saw the whole thing through and had no problem, so probably you need to just try a different time of day or something and
Mhm.
reconnect. Sometimes if you have, this is important, and this isn't part of Photoshop, but it is important to following the class. So I was gonna say, sometimes the browser that you're using either has many other tabs open, or the cache, now and then you need to clean the cache or just completely close the browser and open it up again. Because if not, it's just got too many things in the browser's memory, and trying to hold on to a lot of, the whole web. And so you need to just disconnect the whole thing and open up the browser just with that, and it'll probably re-spool much faster.
I
So-
had this same problem last week with a different YouTube set of videos. And I just, got the spinning wheel. But 2 days later, it was fine. It was my broadband.
And maybe it's
connection.
Google, because YouTube belongs to Google. Maybe it's Google having some, I don't know. But as long as at least one of you was able to watch it through, then I know that it isn't the video, and that it's a matter of hopefully you guys finding a better time or day or connection to download it.
I watched
Um,
one and 2 and did the Daisy over again from scratch, and it worked out well.
I'm so glad, you guys. I got like 5 of you guys showing me work done, which is a record. Usually I get 1 or 2 or 3. So I'm going to start by showing what you guys sent me. And if anyone sent me anything today, since I've been teaching, I did not get it because I've been on now since 1 p.m. And before that, I was connecting stuff. So if you sent me anything after your 12 p.m., I didn't get it. It's not because I don't think it's good or bad. I just didn't get it. But for those of you who sent me things before that, I'm going to go ahead and share it with you guys, because you all applied what you've learned really well. And in different ways, that's what I find cool about it, that you learn a technique and then how you choose to use it is up to you. And you all did a great job. Now, can you refine it, do more with it, do less with it, get even more creative, get less creative? But it's just the fact that you all performed, that one of you guys had some issues. Vera, I believe you had some issues with your mouse or your background. So I didn't get to answer your email. Was it you, Vera, who said that it was jumping around? You just gave me
Yes, my
cut out
Photoshop,
flower.
my Photoshop jumps, just resizes suddenly, and I haven't been able to resolve it on my own.
And I wonder if it's this magic mouse that I don't use that much, because at home I use my Wacom tablet, the graphic pen. I brought this to Argentina, and God, it's been jumping on me. It's hard to get accustomed. And I think I'm putting on, okay, I'm putting on headsets that blocks I don't hear anything because I'm now kind of blocked other than you. I'm focused on you guys. But if you guys, for any reason, begin to hear noises out there, I mean, my mom's gone to bed, everyone's gone to bed, but things happen, noises, maybe someone calls out, my son, let me know because I won't hear them. You will though, because I can't block you guys from them. Okay.
I think the mouse is sensitive, very
Yeah,
sensitive.
so you can go to the mouse and change the
Your son just
sensitivity.
made himself heard.
He made a joke and he said, hello, hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
And
testing.
They heard you. They heard you. He gave me his fancy schmancy, I'll show it to you guys, microphone, which is just for recording. You know, he makes film. I've shown you guys some of his films. This is the microphone that he uses for recording his sound, voiceover and stuff like that for videos. And he gave it to me because it's supposed to be directional so that you guys hear me if it's pointing towards me, which it is, and you don't pick up the rest of the sounds, which when he records, it works really well that way. Like you can be, we were practicing the other day, we had a table full of people and one person in front of the mic, and we had everyone talking at the same time, and he recorded and then we played it back and you hear the one person and then you just hear a murmur in the back. And so we thought, okay, this is the solution. But it doesn't seem to be working that way because he called out from the other side of the living room and you guys heard him. So I don't know, I guess for Zoom, it ignores the directionality of it. I don't know what's happening, but I'm trying. But this, the way it's set up,
Or am I just a muffled mess?
is he's asking, is he clear or is he a
He's
muffled mess?
clear, but he's in direction of the microphone, it would seem.
He's clear. No, he is completely on the microphone is pointing towards me and he is over the computer,
Weird.
way over there. So he
Okay.
should be completely silent. They're hearing you loud and clear.
Maybe it's not turned on right.
He's gonna, he said, let me go look at the settings.
Yeah.
Huh, weird.
See, no, it's the notch. I think Zoom probably can't take advantage of the directionality of it.
Yeah, probably not.
Anyway,
I just turned down the gain. Are they able to still hear you?
are you still hearing him clearly?
Yeah,
now?
yeah.
Yeah,
No,
you're
no. Are
clear
they,
as
no,
bell.
Are they able to hear you?
They can hear, you guys can hear me just as
Very
just
well.
fine, right?
Yeah, very well.
I turned down the gain so that when I'm over there, it won't pick me up as much.
Okay, try. He's moving away. He's moving like, I don't know, 15 feet away. Say something.
Hi.
Yeah, it's still,
Hi back, they all say. So yeah, clearly it's not working. He is, I don't know, what's this, 15, 20 feet away. He's way on the other side right now. And
did you
yeah,
get
you heard
out
him
of
as if you were
quarantine
right here.
yet? Did you get out of quarantine yet?
I did. We did. We got out of quarantine on Saturday. We had our final test, COVID test, which by the way, and this is my last anecdote and we'll jump into Photoshop, but it was absolutely horrible because I was lulled into complacence because in Santa Barbara, I was expecting them to stick the
Oh.
thing, the nose, because I did that
Yeah.
sometime in March. I had to have a test. But no, they just a little swab on my nose right here, right here. Oh, that's great. Then when you got to Argentina, again, at the airport, before they let you out, they do the test, they make you wait. Okay, they let you out. So I just went in there all happy and sat down to get my little nose swabbed. And I was looking at my son who they were talking to him and he couldn't understand. So, and this woman came in and just like, oh my God, she went at the back of my head. I know. And
Isn't
then
that awful?
to add insult to injury, the only time I've had it done, it was one side. I looked the other way and then she stuck one up the other side. Oh my God, it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible.
Cottage
It was-
Hospital does it all the way to your eyes.
Yes, yes, they did that. And it was not fun. Mainly because I wasn't expecting it. I was like, oh, good. Now they're doing this kind, you know, they stopped sticking it in there. And I wasn't looking because then you see the long thing coming. But I was looking at my son. Next thing I know, I was like, what is happening? It was not fun. But we got a whole day later the negative, and yeah, and life is very good now. We're done. We are done, but everything is closed down here. It's meaning we can walk to places, and Buenos Aires is a huge city. Maybe some of you know that, maybe some of you don't, but It's a humongous city and we are not essential workers, so we can't take public transportation of any type and kind. Meaning, no, that's not true. We could take taxis. We could take a taxi, but we can't take buses, trains, subways, the way most people move around in the city. And so we neither have a private car. So my sisters drove me around yesterday, or a taxi, which I haven't taken one yet. But so basically Santi and I, last 2 days, we've been just free Saturday and Sunday. No, Saturday we were still in the quarantine. Sunday was our first free day. So Sunday and Monday, we just walked a ton. I was like, oh my God, I've been in this house for 10 days. So I walked like crazy. And I plan to keep walking like crazy every day that I'm not teaching. And then I guess some friends can pick me up or something when it's necessary if they have a car. But otherwise, yeah, you can't, like, it's not a touristy trip. It's like I can just go and see a bunch of stuff. Things are closed. It's they did just open up. It's so cold. They did just open up that people can be inside of restaurants to up to 1/3 full, because it was so cold. No one can be outside, you know, it's just freezing in winter to not be able to be inside a restaurant. Anyway, so here is some of your work. So this background, what's that? Who's Joyce? Is this yours? Whose is this one?
Yeah.
Joyce. So this background is one of the photos that I had. And this, I'm assuming, is a photo of yours that you put in there, right? Now, is this, are these people walking there, or was this also a photo of mountains and then on top of that, this family walking? Or was it just
the parent and child is a photo that you had?
Oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
added them. I think they were on a beach or something, and then I did a thing and
Oh,
put 'em
okay.
together.
I see it. Hold on. Got it. This is a photo of them on the beach. I recognize that one. I just didn't now. And you left the path is the sand on the beach. No, and then you cut them out. Then this
No,
is a
the
field.
path is part of the original photo. The
Got it.
people are the only different
You
thing,
put
and
the
then I
people in there.
overlaid part of the path on the kids.
Very cool. Very nice. Thank you. So there you go. She cut out and put all the bits and pieces in there. Someone else got inspired by that same one and instead put a ballerina and a different set of mountains in the back. Who is this?
It was Vera.
Vera. Thank you. There you go. So lots of inspiration happening. I'm looking at them both and I'm thinking, wait a minute, there's something slightly, looks like you compressed. Yeah, the arch is shallower, isn't it? It's mushed, or
It probably is.
see what just happened to me, Vera, is probably what you're saying, that everything just kind of went zoop, zoop. That was my mouse. I don't know why it's doing that. That it just suddenly zoomed in. I wasn't doing that on purpose, and it just kind of zoomed all the way in. So yeah, that is the opening has been squished. And I'm only saying that because we just saw this one, and I believe the original opening is this big. Okay, cool. But see, if we didn't know the original, we might think it's a very thin and tall door. So certain things you can mess around with as long as they're abstract enough that if you don't know the original, then who knows? Let's see what comes next. Oh, this is cool. So who was remodeling?
I was.
Peggy's like, well, I was thinking about remodeling and I just wanted to take a, what did you say? I liked your sentence. You just wanted to tell me.
I just wanted to cut up what was there.
And so then she went literal with her thoughts and cut up her living room with the scissors. And so she just took photos of the scissors, I think, right? Or did you find some, did you take a photo of it? Then you put the sky in there and you just tore out a chunk of your floor. So this is what she's dreaming up to do for her house. Love it. Love how you guys interpret it. It's basically everyone's using the same skills, right? Masking, cutting, and bringing in 2 or 3 different layers of different images. Then another person decided this was a great entryway. And why not? We did doors. This is another great door. We have lilies and ponds and a pineapple. Someone had a story about the pineapple though.
Oh, that's mine. When I buy pineapples in the grocery store, I twist off the tops, stick them in the yard in a pot or wherever, and all of a sudden I had a pineapple.
You grew this pineapple?
Yes,
Oh my God, I've
It
heard
takes
about
about-
that.
takes about 6-7 months for them to get this size.
You're kidding.
That's amazing. In Santa Barbara, we can grow pineapples this big.
It was
So
really
it-
kind of a surprise. I looked out there one day and here's this little top coming out.
Ha! That's amazing. Well, not only is the Photoshop well done, but it's amazing that you also grew the pineapple. I'm so glad. What a great story. All right. And then, oh, this is work. This is today. Okay. So this was Dorothy's, remember? So anyway, thank you all for your, did I forget one?
Yeah, I sent you one, a screenshot of a masking that I did, and I couldn't figure out how to get it on the
Oh.
background.
Yes, you had the flower.
And
And
Shannon.
yeah, and so that one I didn't put up here. I was gonna have, because you didn't send me the file, you sent me a screenshot, I believe. So I'm gonna have you share and we'll try to figure out how to help you. Okay?
Cool, no problem.
So,
Also was wondering
yeah,
if you had some suggestions on how I could learn how to use the Wacom.
yeah. No,
Somebody.
actually, I don't. I mean, I'm like, yeah and no. I just learned to use it by using it. And of all the tutorials and people I can send you to, I don't know. I'm assuming maybe LinkedIn Learning has some, which is the tutorials that you have for free through City College, and I can show you a little bit of how to get there. But other than that, I don't know. Maybe use YouTube and find out how to use the Wacom tablet. I usually demonstrate it at school, and I give some pointers, and then I handhold some people because we have 2 that we show. But I don't know of any tutorials, so YouTube them. And if they find them good ones, send them to me. So the next person that asks, I can tell them, because no, I've used one for 25, 30 years of my life, and I just don't think about it anymore, and I don't teach it, so I don't have sources for that. Sorry, I just give pointers to people, but I don't have a tutorial. What else? Bonnie, yes?
Yeah, I'd like to share mine.
Cool.
May I?
Please do share yours. Yes, I had to start my share first.
So I couldn't find the doorways and stuff, so I found a window. And the thing that I found interesting about this is a number of images. I'm going to, will this let me zoom in?
Yeah.
Maybe not. I don't seem to have control.
I think because you don't have anything select, that's weird. Why
There.
wouldn't you?
Okay, so
Look at that.
so
You
I
put
mixed
someone in
and
the room.
matched. Those are actually 2 images. That's in Maine. And it's at a lobster house, but it was a day of travel. But anyway, that's 2 images. The house behind, that's my sister. And the thing I had a little fun with this was the first mask was just a rectangle. And I thought, oh, what am I doing here? This has got to be, I'm just playing, you know? So I need to put the window panes back in. And so then I went back and remasked the original so that that I could have it a little more realistic. And then up here,
Yeah.
I added the roof. I didn't have that because I just cut it off in a rectangle. So I added the
Yeah.
top of the church like it was a reflection. But I don't know how to make it be a reflection. Up here is a reflection.
Actually, I was going to say, you do seem to have, is it a reflect? She
No.
does have, it is a full photo, because those lines on the sweater, I thought that might be an attempt at reflection, or is that just,
No, that's
The photo
just,
was that way.
I think I played around with some opacity. And what we're
Okay.
seeing in the lines there is probably what's
the
behind
houses that
her.
are behind? Got it. But
Yeah.
it does kind of give a little bit of the effect of reflection to do that. But
That's
yeah.
that's what's behind there.
Okay. Wow, look at that.
There's 2 different images, and I just
So
played
cool.
around with
All
that.
right.
And
Well
so
done, you guys. Nice.
that was fun.
Mhm. The best thing you can do with the reflection is on the mask that's hiding the reflection and letting you see the house, the people that you're trying to see, is to go back with a very, very like a 2% brush or something like that of gray, and gently on the areas where you had a big white reflection, begin to paint it back in,
Okay.
right? So that
Yeah.
you see in a big one, because you don't want pieces of reflection, just a little big one where you just lighten light gray in the areas, and then it'll just come in as a slight smokiness and hopefully begin to look a bit like a reflection on
I
it
was
again.
trying to use, I didn't think of that. I was trying to use the opacity to dull it in a
Well,
sense, but it didn't do it enough.
Here, let me explain. It's not a bad idea, but opacity affects the entire thing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's actually, I would like to give that example. Let me see. These are all actually the pineapple one, if you allow me, Anne, is a PSD. So let me double click on that one for a second and open it up and share the screen. I just want to give an example where if I decide to do opacity, so here's the pineapple that's on top of everything, right? So in the case of Bonnie, her pineapple was behind, right? So let me look for something that's a bit more, I wish I had the samples. I won't save anything I'm doing here, Anne, so I won't waste your masterpiece, but let me grab this and put it behind for a second of the lilies, right? So what, or lotuses or whatever those are. So if I were to now put a mask on this one, start to hide some of this so that I can see some of the pineapple, what I'm going to do, oops, I forget that I'm on VDI. If no one's on, is no one on VDI? No, Joyce is on VDI, right? Joyce, you're
That's
on
okay if
VDI?
you switch over. Yeah,
No,
I
that's
am,
fine.
but it's okay if you switch over.
Well, you know what, I can't yet, because since I wasn't planning on that, what I don't have is, I don't have the photos downloaded on my computer. I only have them on VDI. I didn't. So maybe during break, but anyway, so here's the thing. I'm going to, I have to do it with, so I'm going to just quickly show this example. So I am letting, Control D. Okay, so right now, guys, the pineapple, as opposed to before, the pineapple is behind, right? So this is the
You
example
do.
that Bonnie did.
How did
Where-
you do that?
Okay, so right now, the pineapple, I put it behind just by putting it underneath. Before it was on top, right?
Right.
And you could see it on top, right? And I just put it behind the flowers, the plants. So then I added a mask to the lilies, and then I masked around it so that now it looks like it's in front, right? But you can see it's behind, because see how it's behind the step? See how you can tell it's behind? So this is the example, if you want, where you have the windows in front and the pineapple. So Bonnie let, I don't know the name of the person behind the window, so I'm going to say the person, but I can't hear. It's okay. Anyway, the person that was behind the window,
Leslie.
she let it, Leslie. Leslie is completely clear, like this pineapple, right? And what I was suggesting that she do is that she said if she plays with the opacity of the layer itself up here, you can then make the layer a bit less opaque, which is what she said she did a little bit. And so you can just kind of go a little bit less opaque and see how you're beginning to see. Now I'm going a lot. See how you're beginning to see behind? Well, in this case, it would have been there. You're beginning to see behind it anyway. There's a woman back there. See that woman? I'm beginning to see a little bit of that woman through the pineapple. You see what I'm showing you right now? Like the more I reduce the opacity of this pineapple, the more I see the woman that's underneath. There's a woman here on this one that says the forward pass, there's a woman in the middle of it. So by reducing the opacity of the pineapple, I'm beginning to see that woman. The more I reduce the opacity, I'm at 50%. I'm seeing half the pineapple, half the woman. I keep going down on opacity. Now I'm seeing more of the woman and less of the pineapple until I get to the point that I'll just see only the outline of the mask and not the person, right? So that's when you reduce the opacity of a layer, the whole thing, right, becomes transparent or not transparent. So my suggestion, and this isn't the exact example, right, but my suggestion was that instead that she gently use a brush to add, it's the same idea, but instead of doing opacity for the layer, is to brush on the opacity a little bit. So here's what I was suggesting. You get a brush, a paint brush. We're going to paint on the mask. And I've taught you very, very clearly that you should either, hold on, what's the shortcut for this, for the PC? So I've taught you that you're using either white or black, right? White or black. We don't want to see what's around the pineapple. We want to see the pineapple. So the pineapple showing through is black. We didn't want to see that, it's white. But what you can do is paint with shades of gray. So down here, I have white or black. I have white right now. If I paint with white, can you see anything here? No, because it's white on white. If I switch it with the X key in my keyboard, now I'm painting pure black. So I'm making a perfect whole. Whatever's behind here, I would now see. Now, there's all the steps between black and white. I could go up here where it says opacity, but now I've got the brush on, right? And instead of the opacity of the layer, and I'm not sure, maybe there's something Bonnie was doing. She mentioned opacity. I just wanted to teach everyone about this. That's the opacity of the layer, which is global to the whole layer. This is the opacity of the brush. When you change the opacity of the brush, and I'm going to go all the way to 50%, essentially what you're doing is you're painting with middle gray, right? So you could also be choosing on the grayscale to paint with middle gray. After all, it would be the same, but the easy way to do it is to just go down here. Or if you want to paint with 75% of gray, you know, and then, or if you want to paint with about 25% of gray, about yay, then you have that color. So these are all tones of gray. Now I'm going to show you what the result is. My suggestion was to not even go 25, to go even less. So you go like 10, you know, by the time you want to get rid of subtle, now I'm at 8%. And you can barely see it, right? But it's there. I'm going to go a little bit more. See how you can see a tiny bit? Okay, so now let's leave this area. Let's leave this mode. And let's see. I need to do that on something that has something. Let me turn this one off. And I'm going to do it to this. I will not, I swear we will. I will not save anything. Okay. So you will see. Here, I'm going to put it on this. And move this over. This is, I'll probably show you in a better example, but here we go. This here, see how I'm moving the pineapple out of the way? Those are my lines. See my lines, that are in the background? These 4 lines that you see there, it's very subtle. You basically see everything through that one, a little bit less, a little bit less, a little bit less. And this one's so subtle that I'm having to point it out to you. Okay, so I'm going to give you a better example now because this is so busy that it's hard to see. Let's all do this example. I'm going to not save this because I don't want to change your work. So save changes. No, I'm going to propose that we open the file that we finished last week, you know, the door. And we're going to use that one because we have all that blue under the flower. I was so cold. Guess what I've got on my lap? A hot water bottle that my mom just brought me before class started because I was so cold. But now that I've warmed up, it's too hot. so take it off me.
Is it winter there now?
Oh yeah, a
Oh.
bitter winter, bitter winter. We are in the midst of the coldest month. But, and I have a blanket on my knees. I have a blanket on my knees and a water bottle on top of my legs. So I was cool because I'm just sitting still, right? It's getting cold. So let's go to the file we did last week. Mine is in my Google Drive. You guys find it where, was anyone not here last week? I think you were all here. But if you don't have it, let me know because I'm happy to make a copy.
That's the one with the door, right?
The one with the door. Yeah, the pink Gerber Daisy indoor. So I'm going to make a copy. So let me just show you what I'm doing through Bridge. I went to look for it through Bridge. And in Bridge, I don't want to mess up with this one. I want to leave that example. So I'm going to right click and just duplicate it in Bridge. Okay. So you guys can make a copy of it before we even have it in. Instead of having to open it and do a save as, I'm just duplicating it in Bridge. Okay. And so now this one, the name became the same name that, you know, but the name is copy. So I'm going to right click on the name now to just rename it. There we go. So I'm just renaming the name. And I'm going to call it Pink Gerber Daisy. And I'm going to take away the indoor copy and I'm going to call this one brush opacity mask. So anyway, brush mask. Got these little buds that are just in my ears, but they've fallen off twice. Opacity. So anyway, whichever way you prefer to make your copy, just showing you different ways. You're welcome to make your copy by opening up and doing save as, or use showing a new way to do a copy, but I don't want to mess the original image. So I made a copy of it and now let's double click and open it in Photoshop. And this we're going to do together. And I'm going to teach you about these opacity brushes. This is the perfect background to do it in. Does anyone not this one and need it from me? Yeah. Santi, can you take my mom the phone? That's she has one. Okay.
I don't have the starry sky behind my daisy.
Okay, and we are going to need the starry sky. So I was going to say, why don't I can't, you're at home, right?
Correct.
I can't send it to you. So let's do this. Why don't you share your screen? I'll help you put the starry sky behind it.
Okay.
And then we're starting. Does anyone else have this? Because I can put it up on VDI for you guys, but then you have to download it. If it's only Penelope, then I'll help her with this for a second. Okay, so why don't you share your screen? And I'll help you with it.
And
Hey, Carolyn? Oh, who are you? Oh, you're on the phone? Who you talking to?
Can you mute yourself,
Mama?
please?
Oh,
Bonnie?
good. You telling her about the play?
All right,
Oh,
so I'm gonna have to
good.
mute
That's
Bonnie.
neat. Tell her hi, that I'm in class and I
Bonnie.
couldn't take her call because I was unmuted.
And you are muted now. I am muting you. Okay, there we go. I was trying to get Bonnie to mute herself, but I just muted her. Okay, here we go. So let's go to Bridge now again, then Penelope. There we go. And let's scroll down. I believe Starry Sky was one of the last ones in the S.
I saw it.
Yep. So open that one up with a double click.
Oh, okay. Wow.
You can just double click. You don't need to do that, but that's fine too.
Oh no.
Okay. And then you can just, what I taught last week was to drag. I believe I said I taught you to place it. I also taught you how to drag. You can also copy paste, right? So you can, let me show you that one so everyone can see that you can also copy paste a photo in. So do a select all, which is just command. Are you PC or Mac?
PC.
Okay.
Control.
So do a control A, hold down the control and tap the A. See how everything got selected, you guys? That's control A is a select all. Now do a copy, which would be control C. Then go to the pink Gerber daisy.
Okay, where is it? I think that's
Yep, right there. Mhm. Now, go ahead and do a control V for victory. Cool. And there, now you need to grab that flower layer and drag it above the starry sky. So, or put the starry sky below the pink Gerber daisy. So whichever you prefer. Perfect. You're done. Save your file. What you needed to do was only one step more, which is why it was easy to tell you to do this instead of to give you the
That
file.
was the problem I think I had with my other image. I couldn't remember that part, and that's what I wanted to review. Thank
Well,
you.
there you go. All done. Cool. So now everyone has this one. Joyce, you have this one. Anne, Vera,
Yes.
Susan. I'm not sure if Susan's here. She's okay. So let me share my screen. Cool. All right. So we're going to learn about these masks. So here's the deal. Turn all three off so we're very clear what's happening here. Turn the three off, I mean turn the eyeballs off. And you notice that I didn't do one at a time. I just grabbed the top and just drag my mouse down. So you click once and drag down and they all turn off. Click once and drag up and they all turn on, right? It's a quicker way than just click, click, click. Anyway, let's turn them all off. This one is pretty straightforward. It's just the stars. We'll turn it off. This one is the daisy, which Joyce had asked last week, and I said, I'll explain next week. Said, what happened to the mask? Remember how there was a mask here and now it's gone, yet the flower is on its own? I'll explain that, but I'll explain it later. Turn it off. And then this one, if you turn it on, is the one where you see the whole image, but we masked out just the door. Yeah. So to mask out the door, we had to paint the door black. Okay. Let's turn on just the Starry Night again. And then I'm going to give you the example that I just gave you, but with the Starry Night, and you'll all do it and it'll be a much clearer, cleaner example. So just let's leave the flower out just to not confuse issues. We just have these two on. Is everyone with me? Cool.
When I see
Yep.
the Starry Night, it takes up the whole screen. So am I supposed to be looking, oh, the other eyeball, two eyeballs?
Yeah, the other eyeball, the eyeball for the door. And most of the Starry Night is hidden. The only little bit I see is the piece that, if you look at our mask, is painted in black. So now we're gonna click on the mask for the door. So remember that when you click on a layer, many times I tell you, be careful where you click. Many times you guys click all over as if it all means the same, but it's not. This is the pixels, it's the photo. This is the mask that hides them. This is the layer itself. When I say move the layer, I don't want you moving it from here. Look, if I move it by picking it from here, I transfer my mask. See what happened there? You don't, let me do that again so you can see what I mean. When you grab something to drag it down and you grab it from the mask, you move your mask all over the place. You don't want that. Maybe sometimes it's safe to grab from the pixels, but the clearest thing is to just grab from the gray area. That's the neutral area to move it, right? And then when you've got a mask, you never, ever, ever want to click in the middle where the link is. Look what happens. Let's test it. Click on there and see that there's a little link, a chain link, or you don't know if you know, but this is a chain link. I'm going to click on that chain link and the chain link is gone. What was the point of that chain link? Well, I have disconnected my mask from its pixels. So if I now have my mask selected and I move it around, I've got a hole that moves all over the place, which is kind of cool and funky, right? But it's not correct to where it should be. It's fun, but it's not where it should be. I'm going to do Control Z to move it back. Vice versa, if I click on the pixels now, I move my pixels and I leave my mask behind. Does that make sense? So once again, you got to be careful. I'm going to do Command Z. Did everyone try that? Move their mask or their pixels. Now, once you Control Z to be, don't try to guess to put it back. Just Control Z to put it back in the right place. Now, click there one more time to link those again. And now if you move them, they move together. Oof. Okay. Now they'll move and I hate this auto select layer. Why? There we go. Notice that what we're moving right now is the mask and the layer. The fact that we have the sky with the green back there and the green back there, but we're seeing the mask inside of its correct location of the door all the time. Yeah. Oof, I just had a little, my computer did a little flash. I hope nothing's wrong. Anyway, all right. So we're back to where we started. And if you don't think we're back to where we started and you're a bit messed up, you can always go to the history and take it to the very beginning. Everyone except for Penelope, because you don't want to lose that pink sky. Right, so we're back. So I'm going to turn off that. Okay, so now let's select the mask that's on the door layer. Just the mask. Okay, so that's the pixels, that's the mask. Select the mask on the door layer. Now, let's go and select the brush. And I always say that there's so many brush looking things that if you hit the B for the brush, B for boy, that gives you the actual B for brush of the brush that we want. We're painting on the mask, right? So we're going to paint with technically black or gray. And since I need to hide, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide some of this wall. So, sorry, I messed up. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be hiding some of this wall. I want us to paint in black. All right. Let's go get a biggish brush. So I'm going to get a biggish brush, but most importantly, let's get a very, very soft, sorry, a very, should I do a soft brush? No, let's do a 50% for this lesson. For what I'm trying to show you, I don't care if it's soft or it matters, but not so much. So 50% hardness, and I don't know, about, let me see, yay big of a brush, which turns out to be about 400 pixels or so. About yay big of a brush.
How did you get the drop down? I didn't see that part.
I just went over to where you have a number, whatever number that might be.
Okay.
You click on it because your number would be different than mine. So you'll see a number there, right? So go to a number-ish kind of thing, which is to the right of the house, to the right of the brush, then comes the number. And I guess it's time to show you the shortcuts for size and hardness. But anyway, for now, let's just do this. Is everyone with me? Black should be your foreground color. Up here, opacity 100%. Make sure if you were playing around with that opacity is 100%. Now, just watch. This is demo time. You got your tools already, but just watch. Okay, so here I go. I'm going to click and drag, and I'm making another hole on the side of the wall. Just I made this one, and it was sharp and nicely made, but this is a hole in this wall, yeah, where I'm letting in everything because I'm painting with black. And if you want to check on our mask, if you are, you hold down the Option or Alt key and give a single click to the mask here, and there's our mask. We just painted a black line. So we see everything behind it. Does that make sense? Okay. Now let's go up to the opacity and choose about 75%-ish. Doesn't need to be perfect. And now let's draw another line, and the line comes out gray. Then let's go down to 50%-ish. And let's draw another line, just one line. Then 25%-ish. And another line. And then here's where I'm just going to go down like to about 10%-ish instead of, and you're drawing it. You can barely see it, but you're drawing it.
Deanna,
Yes.
I can't get just the mask. I just get the door.
Okay, so
starting
hit
line.
your option or command and then single click the mask that you have on the door.
I just get dotted ants crawling around it.
Okay, so wait for a second. Let me show everyone I'm about to show, and then I'll have you share your screen. Okay, so now I'm going to option click on this mask again, and here you go. This is what we just did.
Option click.
Hold on, Dorothy, that might not apply to you. So just listen. So
Yeah.
all I did was play with a brush, reduce the opacity of my brush, right? And what happened is that I got lighter and lighter gray. Yeah. I could have, as I said, instead of done opacity, I could have gone here to the colors and chosen light gray, different grays. But instead I chose to do that. And so we leave, and with black, you make a hole that completely makes the mask disappear. Like you see everything through it, like we did to the door. As you start making the lighter grays, you get lighter and lighter until you barely see it. So when you're trying to do subtle corrections, you're going to be using a 4 or 5% brush. And this is where it all started. I was telling Bonnie, I would put in a very, very small brush, like a 4 or 5, 6% brush. And then gently start going over something and watch what I'm doing over here. Okay, so watch over here, you guys, this side. I'm going to make a line where I'm just painting with my same mouse down with the 5% brush. So you can't tell there's stars back there, but you definitely see that something is happening. Now I'm going to paint again. And notice that the areas where my brush is overlapping, it's getting double. And I'm going to paint again, and it's doubling up and doubling up. So I started by painting only a 5% down or 6%. And every time I go, the things that overlap, even though it's a 5% brush, it's getting deeper and deeper because I'm ending up 6%, it's 5% plus 5% plus 5% plus 5%. Basically in the middle, I've got about 50%, which is about that. Does that make sense?
Like watercolor.
Yeah. Yeah. So exactly. And here I have a tree showing up, which is a little bit different, right? So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 5, I'm at 25%, which is about that. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, that's about 50%, which you see how that looks about that. So basically what I'm trying to show you is that as you gently paint with a brush in different areas versus right on top of it, then you get to choose what you see more of or less. So I was telling Bonnie she can subtly paint over the figure of, I think, Leslie, and here and there gently let a little bit of that reflection in where it might make more sense to see it. And I was just kind of suggesting she do a little bit of this kind of thing, only over the person, so you see let a little bit of the reflection through where it might be most seen, because maybe you see it less on a white jacket and more on a dark coat, or the other way around, depending on what you're trying to show through. You just go with a very small brush, sometimes 2%, and you just touch a little area until it's finally exactly right. Okay, and so you use the percentages for that. The shortcuts for these percentages are the keys. So if I now, it says 6, if I now press 8, see how it went to 80%? I press 5, it goes to 50%. I don't know if you can tell, it's too tiny right there. I press 3, it goes to 30%. Okay, if I press 9, it's 90%. If I go 2, it's 20%. 1 is 10%, which is why a lot of people try to do the command 1 to go to 100%. and they end up reducing the opacity, and then they don't see their layer and they're all confused. It's because they just changed their layer to 10% opacity. So anyway, that's the shortcut. Okay, now I kind of showed you the how, the whys. Now let me help the people who are having trouble. The rest of you who saw this, go ahead and just play with it. I'm gonna get rid of some of these extra brushes so that it turns into just this. And now I'm gonna stop sharing. And yes, show me, Dorothy, what was up that you couldn't, what's up with yours?
Well, I finally fixed it, but I did, you said command click on the mask, and that didn't work. So I did option.
Option click.
Yeah.
Oh, because I get confused with the
Mac
with the
and
VDI.
command and option and
Yeah.
control and
Yeah.
So I'm
So
good.
yeah, the command click would give you a live dotted lines. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Anyone else? Oh, you were here, Susan. Thank you. Any question, you guys? How's it working? Joyce gave me a thumbs up. Everyone's busy doing stuff or staring blindly.
I have a question. I have a question. Why
Yeah,
why are the strokes in Starry Night? Why aren't they black?
This, why isn't it black or what?
Yeah, why
Or
isn't
on
it
the
black?
Mine are black and not Starry Night.
Well, why are they Starry Night? The strokes are, I mean, the brush strokes,
Okay.
they're green.
Penelope, if yours are black, you painted the pixels. So hold on, I'm gonna undo that. Why they are not black is for the following. We paint black on a mask in order to make a hole in our mask and see the entire Starry Night. Yeah, so we paint black.
We're painting a hole. Okay, got it.
So here, when we painted black, we made a hole in our mask, and thus in this portion, we see everything, just like that. As we paint
Got it.
lighter and lighter, we see more of the mask and less of we make less of a hole. It's like you're making a more opaque hole, a less transparent hole, less translucent hole. Okay. And so you only see a little bit. But if you paint it black, which is what Penelope said, so if you're clicking over here, Penelope, on the pixels, and you paint black,
You're not showing.
actually, I don't even have black right now. Oh, I'm not showing my screen. So sorry. I don't know when I stopped sharing it. Oh, when I said if you have any questions. Yeah. So here I changed them. So if you're sharing, if you are in your mask and you're painting black, right? Oh,
Right.
I forgot that I had I was down to 10%. So let me head over to 100%. So if I am here and I'm painting with black, all I am doing is hiding much more of this stuff, right? So I'm going to undo that. But if I am selecting my pixels and I'm painting with black, now I am actually painting my pixels. I have actually, right now, I've painted, graffiti painted like on my wall. I have destroyed my pixels. This, look to the right here, I have painted with a black marker or a big black brush of paint on my pixels. I've destroyed them. I'm gonna undo, okay, so that I don't leave those there. So Penelope, share your screen. Let's see if we can back you out of where you're at. Because if you paint black on the door, you get black paint on door. Now, you are painting on your mask, which is perfect. No, you're not. No, you're fine. You didn't paint on your pixel. You painted on your mask, but you don't see yet what's behind because you're still seeing your mask. So do give it another little option click or command. What are you? Your PC. Alt click on your mask now. So go to your mask.
Dropper.
Yeah. Alt click. And there you go. So now you see how the only spot that you painted black was that little round circle. See there?
And it's
And
just,
then the rest, what's that?
I think it's just darker. I think it's still blue, but it's like 90%,
Yeah.
95%.
It's probably named, yeah. So go click again, option and alt click on your mask again so we can see. And so you see, you didn't have pure black there. You might have pure black on that little one dot circle. I don't know, but
Yeah.
for sure not on the rest. And as you go lighter and lighter, you're seeing less and less of the stars, more and more of the white,
Okay,
of,
good.
of the white door,
Okay.
right? So
Yeah.
it happens to be white. It's not the mask white we're seeing. We're just seeing the white doors, right? Okay, so now go option alt click on your mask again so we can go back to where it matters. We rarely come to the mask. We usually just do it here. Now, in this image, it made no sense other than for learning because everything here is so precise that we wouldn't be using just a mask for this, just a brush for this. But this was a good example because by having a dark sky behind, it was very easy to break through this white wall to see behind it. So I thought it was a good example to show you guys these brushes. Let me share my screen for a minute for one last thing I want you guys to do before we move on. I'm going to go ahead and paint this all back with pure white at 100% so that I can, oh, now I made that mistake. Guess what I just did? I'm painting white on my pixels. So I'm going to Command or Control Z. It looked too white. Something was wrong. My mask. Okay. So I'm going to, oops. I'm going to paint with white. So I'm now covering, I didn't want to do that. See, the moment I made a mistake, I just did a Command Z. Okay. I'm just trying to get this back, this side back because I want to show you something else. So I'm just painting white right here. Okay. So I want to leave that sample there. This is a sample, so it's fine. We're messing it up. This isn't the one with the daisy. That was the one we did last week. And on this side, I'm going to grab now the difference between a very soft brush. Okay, I'm going to make the brush even bigger now. Okay, so I'm going to make the brush a bit bigger so you guys can see something pretty important, which is I got 100% soft. Okay, so the softest brush there is 0 hardness. Yeah, so watch. I'm gonna click and drag. Oh, I need to give it a black paint. Okay, so I'm gonna click and drag and see how there's a center point. My mouse, yeah, is 600 pixels. But in fact, what you are seeing completely painted in black is really no bigger than this. In fact, this was a 400 pixel brush. This is a 600 pixel brush, but only the center part of this brush is actually black. The rest is a gradient all the way down. See, it's gray through white. Can you tell that? Here in the center of this brush, I actually had black. And even then, not completely black. And then it slowly started being a gradient. That whole thing is a grayscale. Lighter gray, lighter gray, lighter gray, lighter gray, lighter gray, lighter gray, and almost white until it's white. That's why a 600 pixel brush that's very soft actually affects only the center as pure black, and then the rest of it is less than black, transparent, until it's nothing. Does that make sense? So depending on the effect you want to have, choosing your brush is very important, because if you have if you go over it again and again and again, you're going to get pure black in the middle, but the surrounding part is always going to be kind of fuzzy. If I go with now with a 50% brush, let's say, or let's say go with a 25% brush, which should be like that. That would be a 25% brush. This one, only the center is that, so it feels like it's even lighter than that one. And then as you gently paint over, as long as you don't move your mouse, so let me just show you this. As long as I don't pick up my mouse, I can pick over and it's all the same width. I can paint over and over and I'm not lifting my mouse. The moment I lift my mouse and paint over again, that's when I get the duplication happening. And then I paint over again. So as I do this, okay, I can make a real, I'm clicking here a little bit to get it. And then I do a little bit more and then a little bit more. And then I just basically can end up having a very, very gentle transition just based on how many times I click and let go. So at this point, I could end up with something like this, maybe more. I don't have that much space left, so I'm kind of, but a very gentle transition from not seeing anything to seeing everything, right? Thus, it slowly fades out. See that? That's just because you have a very soft brush that you just, a little bit more of that, a little bit, and then you go, no, I'd rather see a little bit less of the trees. So you switch back to white and you gently paint over the white trees again. And then you go, maybe the transition is too harsh. So you switch back to black and you go down. 25% is too much. You go down to just, 10%, 5%, and then you just let a little bit of it in again. There you go. So then you basically, I ended up, most of the times that when you're doing real detail work, you basically end up with a 5% brush to gently bring in some stuff in and not others. Okay. 5% brush is really powerful when you're aware that what you're doing is this, right? You're gently and softly moving things in and out. How does that feel? Questions? Are you guys trying it out? Is it working? Is it not working? Do you not see? Once again, if I just do 5% brush and all in one, it's just a 5% brush. But as I start laying it over and over and over, it's that it starts becoming powerful. And I start seeing the difference. And I've just gone over maybe 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, 8 times, 9, 10, right? So if I look at this, see how it's a very, very gentle thing is appearing in there. Now, normally I don't do it this way. Okay, this is for you guys to see what's happening. Normally, all you want to do is how much do you want to see? So you keep playing around here, 5, click, 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 and then the center I go more and gentle, 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 more. See how soft and gentle this transition is? This is the absolute opposite of masking with harsh lines like that. It's slowly letting something appear. And this here is what I was suggesting she do in that window over Leslie's body in the areas that have enough of a reflection that they might show and that you get to see some reflections. But now you all know that it's not all or nothing. It's got clearly shades of gray. Yeah, this is the perfect explanation of that adage, right? Because it's all about shades of gray. Versus if you do a completely hard brush, it never works. 100% hard brush, then it's this kind of weird little, I need to go back to 100%. A hard 100% brush. Even at your hardest, you should always use at least like a 5% brush. I didn't go big enough, but a 100% brush is actually not really a straight line. I'm out of places to demo this in. 100% brush isn't really a straight line. I'm going to do it up here. It's kind of spotted. See, it has like little dot, 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 dot. It's many dots put together, so you don't really get a straight line out of 100% brush. You get that kind of weird pattern on the edge, even though it's sharp, because you can change some other stuff to make it be smoother than that, but that's basically what you get when you don't want to do too many changes, which is not a straight line.
Okay, so Diane, you're changing the size of the brush, the softness of the brush, and the opacity of the brush.
Exactly. Thank you for putting it so succinctly. They are all different variables that matter and affect each other. As I said, you can have a 600 pixel brush that's huge, or 800. It was an 800 pixel, whatever, 600. Yet it ends up looking smaller than your 400. And that's just because it's very soft, right? So the effect of it ends up being less than the 400 brush that was harder.
I had an observation
Mhm.
when looking at my image that staring me right in the face was an actual reflection of that was captured in the photo itself. And that's my, I'm just realizing that should have been my, if I'd had more time to think about it, been my goal to reduce the opacity, we'll call it, using the brush strokes to get to that effect.
Perfect. Well, you can
Can that
always keep working
happen?
on it and show us again next week.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So much to learn. God, isn't it amazing when you guys do stuff out of there and come with questions and things to show how much more I get to show you guys and share with you? I always try to do that when it applies to what I'm teaching next and what I want everyone to know. But yeah, this makes me happy. So let's save this one because this was something I usually demonstrate on just plain white and black. And so having it be on examples that you guys brought is even better. But we're not going to work with this one anymore. So we can save it. And just to have another little bit of example here, what I want us to do is to save this again as, this will be the one that we practiced the opacity and masking. Now let's do a save as, because now I'm going to tell you about what's happening with the mask that disappeared here on the Gerber daisy. Okay, so let's do a file and save as, and I'm going to save again, and I'm going to call this one pick Gerber daisy underscore smart object mask, and save.
Was this a smart object?
Yep, smart object.
What does smart object do again?
A smart, I'm going to teach you now. Let's make the file, and now I'll tell you all about smart objects. We're going to spend more time with smart objects and resolution and stuff like that. Remember I asked you all to read the resolution file, which I've asked you before. Many of you guys are like, oh, enough already, don't ask me again. But for some of you guys, it's newish. So I asked you guys to read it. And today we're going to attack the whole resolution conversation more from the point of view of smart object, which is a different way to see it. Is everyone did a save as? Now let's get rid of this door file, complete this door layer completely. Let's trash it for a bit, just so that we can have only the pink Gerber daisy and the Starry Night. So we can talk more about smart objects. Now, the only one, if you followed me up to the end last week, your file is looking the same as mine, in which we have two smart objects. The only one who doesn't is Penelope. I don't want to call it Penny.
I wasn't able to trash that other layer. How did you do that? Did you drag it to the trash can?
Yeah, so it's the old hat way of doing it. I dragged it to the trash can. So accustomed to doing it that way that I just do it that way. But you can also just, if you prefer to right click and delete layer, the only thing I don't like about that is that then it makes you give it another little yes, unless you say don't show again, and in the future it won't. Thing is, and in case you did it by mistake, it's good to have this little one. But if not, say don't show again, and then it will just delete with a right click. One way or another, it needs to end up in this little trash. Is everyone with me? Penelope, you're the only one who needs to do one more thing. Grab your Starry Night layer.
Yes.
Select it like this. And then I believe you can right click and maybe you can, I don't know if you can make it into a, over here, you might be able to make it into a new smart object. I don't know if you can. If not, then go to layer and make it into a smart object over here and say
So-
convert to smart object.
Go to starry object. The starry
Go to
night,
Starry Night.
right?
Let's see,
click.
let's just do it this way. If it, I don't know about the right click, if it's the right one, but since mine is already a smart object, I don't know. Go up to layer for sure. I know that you can do a smart object this way and convert to smart object. I think the right click should do it, but since mine is already one, it's not showing up for me. So I don't know if it's because of that or not. We'll just do this, layer, smart object, convert to smart object.
Okay, layer, smart object. Smart object. Way down at the bottom, maybe?
Do you find it?
Yeah, smart object, convert to smart object.
Yep. And then if it says, are you sure? Something like that, say yes. But if it doesn't, then it's done.
It's
And how
done.
you know it's done is both, all of us now should have these two little boxes down here in the bottom right of each one of the little pixel areas. Is everyone with me there? We all have that? Okay. So how did we make these two? Well, the first one, the Starry Night here. Okay, let me explain. Originally, this image was the door to which we brought the daisy. I don't know if you guys remember that we brought the daisy by dragging the whole layer with its mask that we had already masked up into the file name and down. Remember that? When we did that, because of bringing the whole layer, it got converted into a smart object. We didn't do it, it did it for us. No, that was no, we made this one into a daisy. I'll remember now when I showed you how. I didn't have time to let you do it. Yes, but I showed you how without doing it as a smart object, I made it bigger and small and it got horrible. And then I got, trust me, so don't want to do it that way. Turn it into a smart object, just like I made Penelope do hers this time. And then we went up and down and it was fine. So we made that one ourselves. The second one though came in as a smart object because instead of doing what we did with Penelope that I copied pasted, we placed this image. Remember we said file place and we placed the Starry Night. So when you place an image, it comes in as a smart object. So that's how we ended up with these two smart objects. Now, that's just how we got to them. What they are and how come they are and how they work and what happened to the mask, that's what I'm going to explain today. What they are, Peggy explained it well when she did like this. So do you want to say it in words? What's the point of a smart object? Or the point that I made with that example? Because there's
When you, if you have compressed the file, made the object smaller with our free transform, and then try to make it bigger, you have thrown away pixels. And so the more you mush it and stretch it, you keep throwing away pixels and eventually you have no quality left.
yes. So if you're only going to move something down once and you're fine, you're just going to make it small, it's going to stay small. Hey, you don't want those extra pixels weighing down your file. Why not? Just don't turn it into a smart object, just transform it down, make it small. You have a tiny little daisy there, life is good. But if you're trying to figure out how it fits into that door best, and so you're going, let me try smaller, let me try bigger. Maybe I'll want it really to fit all the petals in. No, I think what I want is to have the petals explode. So you're kind of designing the shot, right? So you're going up and down and up and down. Every time you go up and down, when you go down, you lose pixels. When you go up again, Photoshop invents pixels, interpolates to make it look like it used to be. But your quality of your flower gets softer and softer and loses quality until it's a soft, mushy mess. I showed that to you as a very quick, one little tiny down and one little up, and you saw this big mess of a flower, right? So in order to avoid that, what you do is you wrap up that flower in a protective envelope. And that's what a smart object is. And you say, no matter what I do to this flower, we're going to do it in a non-destructive way. Meaning, when I squish the image down, it's only happening from my eyes out, so to say. It's a visual reduction, but the flower is not losing its pixels. The flower is still big. So if you look at the file size, if I don't have it into a smart object and I make it small, my file size becomes smaller. I have less pixels. But when you have a smart object and you make that flower smaller, you don't lose any file size because your flower is being kept completely intact by the smart object. The smart object is like a little force field that protects your image from being messed up. In fact, though, turning that flower into a smart object added size to the file, and files with smart objects become bigger and bigger and bigger because that whole process of turning it into a smart object makes the file have kind of like a file within a file. So let me explain that now, because that's where this mask went. You guys, this flower had a blue background. Remember, had a blue background to it? Where did that blue background go? I didn't cut it out. I didn't delete it. We masked it out. You remember that? We made a mask. And we kept that mask here. But when I converted it into a smart object, that mask is gone. Okay, let's find that mask again, because as I said, it's not gone. Smart objects protects the file. How do I find that again? Well, right now, except for Penelope, maybe you still have the Starry Night open. You can close that file. We should only have one file open right now. Pink Gerber Daisy smart object mask. That's it. If you have another one open, close it. I want you to be clear that we only have one file open. Yeah. Is everyone there? Okay. So now I'm going to go to this layer, go to this little box that represents a smart object, and I'm going to double click. Just watch for a second. Huh? I'm going to just double click. And when I do that, Photoshop says, ooh, after editing the context, choose file, save. What is he talking about? I don't know. Let me say okay to that and let's look. What has happened is that smart object was truly like a little file encased. It's like the whole file was encased inside of this little protective wrapping called a smart object. And when you double click on it, it opens up into its own file. Look up here. This was the file we were in before. This is like a little internal file, like a file within a file. And it's the daisy.psb. Notice that before the file was really big, right? And it had blue all over, it was rectangular, but this little bit, all that's left is this much. But notice that around the flower, if I were to click and look at the mask, it's just the mask. That's all it is. And if instead I hold down the Shift key when I click my mask, I am annulling, so to say, the mask. And there's my good old blue that I started with. So I have never lost the blue of my mask. Does that make sense? It's always been there. It's a non-destructive modification. To do this, I hit click and then I held down the Shift key and clicked on my mask to see what the file looked like before the mask. And there it is. It had a blue background. I'm going to click on the mask again and it comes back. This is what I have now. It was always there. Joyce, your correct question about where did the mask go is still there in case I still want to do a better job of my mask. Maybe I want to spend an hour on each little bit of my petal, on each little bit, because maybe, it wasn't good enough and I want to come back. Sometimes masks need to be worked on for a long time, but I want to just get the file to work. Now, let's do this. Let's all cancel out our mask for a little bit. Hold down Shift cancel out your mask by clicking on your mask and have it be the good old blue background again. Is everyone with me?
I'm lost. I'm not.
Back here, did you double click on this little box at the bottom right of your daisy? Did you do that?
I'm not.
Okay, so go ahead and do that.
It says choose file, save to commit the changes.
No, go ahead and, it doesn't say choose file. It probably said,
After editing the contents,
Yeah,
choose
yeah.
file. That's right. So I say, okay,
no, it probably says save file. After editing the context, save file. not
save to
choose file.
commit the changes. So I don't want
Exactly.
that.
Yeah, so say, okay, no, that's fine. So just say okay to that.
Oh, okay.
It's warning you that you need to save the file later.
Okay, I see the mask now.
Okay. So do you see how it opened up as a separate file? Up at the top, it's a separate file.
It says layer.
So mine says Daisy because I wrote Daisy. Yours probably says layer because you didn't write layer.
Yeah, it just says layer, layer O.
That's fine. You just hadn't named it, that's all. But it's the same name up there as whatever you have here to your layer. Because really, it's not that a file opened up, it's the layer that opened up as if it looks like a separate file. Okay, hold down the shift and
and
knock out your Daisy mask.
okay, good, got that.
All right. Now let's save file. Save.
Just save, not save as.
No, just save. Everyone save. All right. Now let's go back here and look at our flower. And our flower basically lost its mask because inside of that layer, I disabled the mask. So now there it is. Now I suddenly see it cut out against the background again, as if the mask wasn't there, because it isn't. I've disabled it. I only disabled it. I didn't throw it away, but it's showing up the way I saved the file. Does that make sense? So let's go back to the file now and click one time on the mask to make it show up again. Are you following with me, everyone? Anne, Joyce, Patricia, Vera.
Click on to get the mask again, the other tab.
So now I'm going to turn it on again, but watch.
No, I didn't.
I'm looking over here. Is it gone yet? I just enabled the mask again,
How?
but it's not. What's wrong? What's wrong here? Why do you think I'm still seeing the background? Everyone except for Peggy, who's totally got this down.
Is the mask still disabled?
Well, I enabled it now. So right now the mask should be gone. Why is the mask still blue? Why is the mask disabled?
I can't find the one with the mask.
Yeah, I don't have that one either.
Give me a second then. For anyone else who's following me, let me follow the thought through. I'll explain what's happening and then I'll make sure that you're all in the same space again. So basically I disabled the mask, but I enabled the mask again. So it's working. The mask here is working, but I'm not seeing it reflected in here because I haven't saved the file yet. Remember, I kept telling you, save the file. That message that Dorothy read out loud, it said you must save the file in order to make this work. So now let's go here again, file, save again. And now that it's saved again, I go in here, the mask is working again. So it's all about making the changes in your smart object and saving before they show up on your master file again. Now, I'm going to stop my share and have people who are not with, up to the last step share, and I'll help you catch up, and then I'll explain on the way. So who wants to go? Penelope or Dorothy or anyone else who needs a hand? And
I got
or Patricia, how are you guys doing? Patricia, you're doing well? Or do you need a hand? Okay, one of you guys share. Dorothy or Penelope?
I'm okay.
Penelope, okay, cool,
Okay, I'm sharing somewhere.
good.
Where is
Yeah,
it?
it's coming up. It's coming up. All right, so let's go to Photoshop.
Let's find, I think, where am I?
You're in Bridge, so go down to Photoshop.
Oh, that's special.
Yeah, this one you can close this entire window. That's one less thing to have open. Go up and click on the box on the right, top right box, and close the whole top right
No.
X. Oh, because you have Zoom windows underneath. Just, it's better to not have a ton of,
I'm done now.
no, okay, hey, relax, it's okay. I was just trying to get you to close this up so that it doesn't bug us, but forget it, just go down. No, 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 you were fine. I don't want you to stop sharing.
I don't know where I,
Okay, go down to where you have all the little icons and look for the P and S for the Photoshop.
there,
Click on that.
it was
Yeah.
hiding.
It was hiding, perfect.
Of course it's-
Now,
I don't know where to put that.
you're fine. You followed through until the very last step. It's just one little step that you missed. What you did is you opened up by double clicking on that little box.
Right,
Up there to the right, it says layer 0, right? And so go click on that one. And we were disabling the mask, which is what that X is all about, going, no, 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 I don't want the mask to work. So that means you see the background, which is perfect. Now, enable the mask again by just clicking on the mask, and that X will disappear. And the mask is now working again. See how now the background is all hidden?
yeah.
So now, if you were to go back to the main file, the point I was trying to make is that go back to the main file on the left side of the two. It hasn't yet changed. My mask is still disabled, and that's because we haven't yet saved that change in that smaller inner layer file. Just that if you make a change that you want it to be reflected in here, you need to save the file. That's the point I was trying to make. So now go back to the smaller layer 0 file.
Yeah.
Up the file, up at the top where the file names are.
What?
And just save this.
I thought
Just
I
file.
said before.
Yes, you had before when we made one change. Now we made another change and we're saving it again. File save, which is like 3 or 4. Yeah, file save, go down, down. Hey, you were fine, file. And then down, down, down
Yeah.
to save right there.
Okay.
That's all it took. Now go back to the main file and you'll see how your flower is going to have no background again. That's all. The effective saving is very powerful, as I'm saying. That when you saved one change, you see it reflected. You make another change. If you don't save, you don't see it reflected. Once you save, you see it reflected. That's all. That's the big lesson here. That any change you make inside of the smart object, you won't see in the main file until you save the change, which you just did. And there you go. Now you see the change reflected. Okay, so
Can we
perfect.
go back the other way?
What's that?
Can we go back to?
To seeing the blue background?
The same thing?
Yeah, you can go and hide the mask again. And then you'll again have the background and if visible if you save it. I'm going to read some questions in case there's something I missed, and then let's take our break. Oh, got it, Susan. Perfect. Okay. Rearrange. No. I'm answering Susan. No, let me go to Bridge and show you. Joyce, did the flower automatically get cropped when we masked it previously? Because I don't remember cropping it. No, actually, again, that's a great question. Oh, but she's gone, 11:02. Ah, she just left. She had a question for me and she just left. 2 minutes ago when I was answering Telebi.
Let's go over that again, though.
But she's gonna watch the recording anyway. So the answer, she's, you know how when I went before, it was all the blue background. When we opened it as a short, as a small opening, she's saying, how come it got cropped? How come it became a mass only around the flower? Because all the other blue stuff that was there before wasn't there. And actually, no, we didn't. And I don't know how many steps we did and at what point that happened. But no, we did not crop it. So that's a great point, Joyce, once you hear the recording, because you're not there. And since we did this last week, I don't remember cropping it. But either we did, or maybe we cropped it with a door or something.
No, it
I
was a
don't know.
Smart Select, I think, that ice cream cone that did the selection around the object.
Yeah, I know. She's asking, she's asking something different. And let me just show you what she's asking. It's hard. Yeah, I know what she's asking, but this flower originally I showed you was,
You're not sure.
oh, okay. Thank you. This flower originally was the whole shebang. Let me go back to our files that we need anyway after break. Photoshop and photo. This flower was like that. It had a lot more blue. And I never cut that kind of rectangle around the flower, is what she's saying. By the time I brought it in to the main image, it still had all of its sides. So her question is why, when I turn it into a smart object, why does it now not have all that blue? What happened to it? And my answer to her and to you guys is, I have no idea. Trying to think it through, and I can't think it through why it did that. Because if I wanted the rest of that blue now, I don't have it. So I don't know. I'll have to look into it.
Was it because we put it in the doorway after
No.
we selected it?
That's what I thought, but no, because we left the flower bigger than the door from what I remember. This one, if you look at the mask, it's going right around the edges of the mask, right to the top of the mask, right to the edge. So like it's going to the mask. It's cropped to the mask, and I don't remember cropping to the mask, so it must have been something that this object did. So I'll have to look into why it happened. But we didn't do this. I assure you, we did not closely crop to this mask. So I don't know. All right.
I thought
Okay.
we selected it and we removed the background details.
We did do that. This is a different question. It's this square that she's asking about.
Okay.
Who's cropped out the rest of the blue? Not who cropped out the flower, but who cropped the rest of the blue out. And we didn't, so who did? And why did it get cropped out? And it's a great question. I'll have to look into it. I don't know. So let's close this little mask now, this little layer, the one that you guys have is layer 0, I have is Daisy. Let's say, no, we've changed it. This one goes back to being what it was. And let's save just to keep it there. And I'm going to stop my share and let's take our break. Let me look at the chat. And it says 11:09 to me, which is what time for you guys? 7?
Yep.
09?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say 7:10 is easier for me to add up, from 7:10 to 15 minutes will be, hold on, my sound just messed up. Can you hear me the same? Yeah, I thought I messed up. Okay, so 10 plus 15 is 25. So I'll see you guys, not 10, 7. We're going to see you at 7:25 p.m. back from break. Okay, it's in the chat. I'm gonna mute everyone so you can make all the noise you want. And I'll see you guys at 7:25. Hi, sorry, I got my computer almost disconnected, you guys, and I was trying to save it. Is anyone there? Are you all back? Let me put my headsets on. I mean, are you there or did I manage to disconnect you? No, you're there. Okay. I put my headsets down on my keyboard and the computer. Can somebody say something to make sure I can hear you? Something?
Okay, we're back.
We're back.
I put the little earbuds down, and this is a computer that I borrowed to come here. And it's got that bar and that touch bar on top that I'm not accustomed to. And I put the headsets there. And next thing I know, they had pressed the end and cancel meeting for everyone. And I was like, and I did. And so I went on my break. And when I came back, I picked them up and it said cancel again. And I had to say, okay, and you would have all been gone. And I was like, what do I touch now? Because I'm not accustomed to that touch bar. And I managed to walk my way out of it. I've never had that touch bar thing. It's kind of tricky, but does anyone have it? And do you like it, or do you like it? No. Yeah, it's kind of weird, isn't it? I mean, I guess like everything, when you get accustomed to it, it's probably wonderful. But right now, I just mess up with it because I'm not expecting to be there. And my earbuds just
It's tricky because like hitting the escape key is near impossible because it doesn't respond to me, and I'd rather have a regular escape key than that touch bar. And when I want to turn up the sound or turn up the brightness or down, I may be in something that won't let me, and I don't like it at all.
actually, mine must be a bit different than yours because it's all touch bar except for the last key is escape. I guess a lot of people complained about your model because the
Good.
last thing is the escape key. So I guess I'm one up better than you, whatever this
Yeah,
model is from
definitely.
yours. I'm glad to see, it seems people didn't like it, and I think that they decided not to do touch bar anymore. I guess people didn't like it too much. I don't think I don't find it very useful. And in fact, if this is what I'd learned on, I might be using it. But right now I didn't expect to I have an end and a share screen button there. That it never occurred to me to tell anyone, if you have a Mac with a touch bar, share screen is a big green button right there on the touch bar. I didn't even know it was there. But the end is also there, and I almost ended our meeting.
It
Anyway.
seems to know what what program you're in because it adopts
Yeah.
some of it.
I mean, it's obviously very intelligent. I can turn the
It is.
sound on and off, the camera on and off with it. It's like it's a mini toolbar, but it's also dangerous if you don't expect it. And so my earbuds basically almost ended our meeting. Anyway, so here we are again. Let me share my screen and we're going to, now I am tempted. Okay, I just said that. Let me press the touch bar. There we go, share screen. And that's it. It doesn't do much more than that. It doesn't do the second share screen, so it's not that intelligent. Okay, here I'm trying to. Let's go back to Bridge. And now, for those of you who got the email that I sent you with Dorothy's, wait, is Dorothy back? Definitely want Dorothy to be back in order to, yeah, you're there. Okay, got it. Let's go ahead, and those of you who got my email, I requested you to download Dorothy's file, and VDI, I have it here, but since you're all, other than Joyce who had to leave, you're all, your own accounts, then I'm the only one who's going to go find it in the student work files. And let's open it up in Photoshop. And I'm going to leave it right there because if you guys get this message at all, if you do. What version of Photoshop are you using, Dorothy?
The Creative Cloud current one.
Oh, that's interesting. Because when I opened it, it said this to me, which made me think that you might have been using an older version.
Well,
because
I think I am. I'm supposed to be 2021, but I think my version says 2020 or something earlier.
Okay, so just slightly older, and it still says that. That's interesting. There must have been a change between 2020 and 2021 on the text tool, because otherwise that was strange. Or maybe it's just because it's, as usual, text, which is a mess, because it's the text layer. If you look here to the right, see how there's an exclamation point on the layer that says SVGS, which is a text layer. So maybe it's just text file that it's trying to update.
I'm
I
gonna take,
didn't fix it. I did update it myself. And then I said, no, if I update it and then when you get it back, you have an older version, you might not be able to open it. So I sent everyone the one with this version that you sent me. I just made one change here. So I'm going to say update to that. So I undid here the thing that we did with her to the one that I'm sending everyone. Okay, so Dorothy, if you want to open up the one I sent so that it's the same as what you, it's
Yeah,
not, because it's not what you sent me. Okay, well, it's almost what it's almost what you sent me.
underline start. Is that the one?
Yes.
Yeah, I have that.
She sent it to me, and originally it's something she brought up in Illustrator. I still think about 90% of this should be done in Illustrator, and this is not an Illustrator class, so I'm going to show you some things here. And it can all be done in Photoshop, but the best place for logos is always going to be Illustrator. So I'm going to show you up until what point I would take this into Photoshop, at what point I would prepare it for how I would send it to Illustrator. But then we'll move forward a little bit more and do some more in Photoshop of the stuff that has to do with doing a logo, because that's something I usually don't have a chance to share. And I think that would be something that might be interesting to most of you guys who have been hanging around a little bit in my Photoshop classes. And for those of you who only it's your second class, then you're going to learn something I don't get a chance to share much. When you take my other Photoshop classes, you might learn a bit more of the, base stuff that I tend to teach. But this is one of the few times you'll get one of us teaching it, because no one else teaches this in all the other Photoshop classes that instructors that we have. They're pure photography. So I'm more of a designer teacher, so I teach some of this stuff. But that said, I would recommend doing the circles and the text of this in Illustrator. And yet you can do the circular if you want text in Photoshop and the circles in Photoshop, but it's not going to be the best thing. In particular, because remember, I don't know if you guys remember, because we started the class with this last week. This photograph, Patricia, I'm going to mute you. Mainly, my main concern with this file right now is that it might not be big enough to be flexible, right? To be able to be expanded into, say, the side of a big poster, or maybe a big sign this big that has to go on the top of a building, which from down from the street, you'll just see it as a logo, but it got to be this big, or the side of a truck. I don't know if the Genealogical Society would ever have a truck, but say you have a big banner printed for a parade or something, right? Like this big, it just wouldn't go because, and let's go check image size. We discovered, so go to file up here, image, sorry, not file, go to image size, Alt Control I. And what we discovered is that although it is set up to 300 dpi, which is what we need because it's going to be a printed logo, it is only about 4x4. Okay, so 4x4 is as big as this logo can get and be good quality, as of what this is saying, which is not bad. How many more? What chance you're going to make it bigger than that? Not often. But, banners.
There could be a sign outside or something, a sign.
An outside sign. There's a chance that it could be bigger. There's many chances, depending on the company. I'm not sure, in particular, the flexibility of, like, Genealogical Society probably isn't going to be packaging a lot of things. There's a limit because of the kind of society it is as to what you would do, but signs, banners, signs outside the door, posters, that kind of thing could, yeah, definitely be something that you would do. So if we were to make this bigger over here, what's going to happen is that we would be having Photoshop make it bigger in the regular expanding the transform tool, which would mean that Photoshop would be interpolating and inventing to make bigger, which, you know, if we want to make it 5 by 5, well, yeah, it's probably okay. For the art, for the text, you know that it's supposed to be vector based, so that would still work. But the art would start getting less sharp, let's just say. So it's not ideal. Now, we did do some work a few days ago, a few classes ago, where what we could do, and this would be my choice, is take just the art, this tree art part. When I say the art, I mean just the tree with its green background, and just make that be a JPEG that I open up in RAW and do the enhance thing to make it bigger. Did you do that, Dorothy, that day where we did the enhanced photo?
I don't remember.
Did you meet us the first day here in class?
Yeah.
Okay, then we did, where we took, or did
Yeah.
I do it at the end of last class? Was it the last class of last session?
Yes, it was the last
Yeah.
class of last session.
Okay, so it's very simple. So I'll show it here. It's a very simple process, but it's a mind-blowing effect where you get to make a file double in size. So we go from 4 to 4 to 8 by 8. And then if you double it again from 8 by 8 to 16 by 16, and it does it pretty amazingly well. And this might be an example of, this is the biggest piece of art of this tree that you have found. I think this tree would be something that I would put through that process, but I wouldn't do that to the text and to the lines, okay? So if this were just a job we do in digital design techniques, this is how I would proceed. I would turn off the text. I would turn off the stuff that's in the bottom. I would just grab this, and not even this. I would actually round the corners out, and I'll tell you why. I would just leave a little bit of this color, this pinkish beigey color. And then
Skin
I would flatten that. What's that?
I think it's skin color. It's a tan. It's
Yeah,
actually tan.
Okay. It's a skinish tan color,
Yeah.
depending on whose skin. Skin color is a hard color to call skin. So let's say it's
not anymore.
a tan. Yeah. And so we're going to,
The politically correct term is peach.
it's peach.
Yeah.
It's peach colored, says my son of the politically correct sentence would be peach colored. And it's peach colored. It's a very colorless peach. If this is peach. Anyway, never mind the color, this background. And then just save it on its own as a file that they would import into Illustrator. And in Illustrator, make the 2 circles and the text, okay? And then in Illustrator, you bring in a square of this color and you mask it to the circle, and then you get that circle cut out. I'm not going to teach you how to do an Illustrator right now. If the next time I teach Illustrator and you're in class and you want to see me do the whole process, I'll teach it to you in Illustrator. But now I will see how far we can take it without it getting too complicated. It's a bit more complicated to handle these tools, and Photoshop is not made as primary tool for this. So some of these tools are very similar for those of you who've taken the Illustrator class, but some of them are a bit more complicated. They're not as easy to use, yet we can do all of it here. We're going to do part of it here, the part that I think is relevant to everyone. I'm not going to completely finish it. But the main thing that I want us to see, turn these guys on again. The main thing that I wanted to say is, before we even work on it, I had a couple of issues that I want to ask you, since you're making this logo truly for the Genealogical Society to use. This were just a sample that you're playing around with. then, keep learning. But since you will be using this, then a couple of things that matter here is that when you see this example, it looks good. You read Santa Barbara County Genealogical Society. Now, because this is transparent, what's dangerous here is that this text will end up on top of whatever you print this on. So say you print this on, you guys are giving brown paper bags with little goodies at a fair. I don't know, I'm just inventing stuff, but So this will be printed on brown paper bag, and then this will show brown paper bag with orange text on top of it, and it'll be hard to read. Let me give you an example, and that so that you guys get an idea of how to do this. I want you guys to do this with me. I'm going to click on the bottom layer here. You can't make a new layer lower than the bottom layer. So when you want to make a new layer, you always have to start with the bottom layer, make a new layer with this little plus sign, but the lowest it'll go is second next, right? So let's just grab it and drag it down and make it into the bottom layer. That's the only thing. You can't like trick it into making one at the bottomer than the most bottom one. So you need to go through the 2 or 3 steps to get here, to get the bottommost layer to be a new layer. And now let's fill this with a couple different colors so you can get a feeling of what it's going to be like to have this transparent background to the outer circle, if you know what I mean.
The text is supposed to be black, not orange.
Okay, so then
I never got that far, so.
Okay, so what if you print this on brown paper? Let's just, the point I'm trying to make is it's really hard to have text on transparent if it's going to be a logo. If it's your art that you do it one time, you just put a good background behind it that works with black or with orange, right? But when it's a logo, you don't know what it's going to land on. Maybe you have some really cute recycled paper that's got little speckles on it. And that's what you print this on because, recycled paper or paper with little print on it, and this lands on it. So just for you to know how to fill a layer with a flat color, I thought this would be a good thing to do. Plus, I actually have in our files, if you guys go into our files, I have like a little bit of parchment kind of paper sample here. It's called combo paper. So I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to have us fill in this with a color, and then I'm going to have us bring in as a background that combo, whatever paper. And you can see how that works. So first, we want to select our entire layer to fill it with a color. Remember last week we selected a portion and filled it a little bit. This time we want to select the entire layer, and I had someone do it today. I think Penelope do it. Someone remember how to select the entire layer? I had Penelope do it to select the starry sky.
Click on it. Make the
What's that?
frame. Click on it to make the frame to select it.
Select all.
Ah,
And a select all, there is a shortcut for Command A, or you go up to the select word and say select all. And there's the shortcut, Controller Command A. And see how you have little marching ants around. Now make sure that you're selecting the layer 1 because you don't want to fill with color on top of any of the existing art. So go to layer 1, make sure that's what's selected, select all. And then we can go in here and say edit fill. Now we did a little bit of this last week. The first day, the day that we had the tailor with the red hat, we filled some boxes. But now, what do we fill it with? If we fill it with foreground color, well, let's see. I don't know. Right now I have white with foreground color. Some people might have black. Those are the 2 colors we were using. Maybe you have a color. Maybe with a background color. How about we choose a color, right? Because if I don't want foreground or background, maybe I can choose a color. So go to fill with color, right? When you choose fill with color, this box opens up. I'm going to wait for you to make sure that everyone's here. I'm going to move the chat a little bit further out. Okay, so when you're here, you can choose a color and say that you choose to print this on something, yeah, brownish. Yeah, paper bag color brown. I don't know, is that paper bag color brown? So basically here, you choose your color, right? Over here, you choose your color. So I'm going to go to somewhat brownish, somewhere over here-ish is brown. And then I'm going to click around until I see something that looks a little bit like manila folder brown paper, something neutralish brown. And when I say okay to that, then I'll say okay to that. And there it filled up with something kind of like, I don't know, vanilla-ish, paperish, whatever it is. My point wasn't, even if it's black, even if it's textured, even if we change it, so we can now go and say we did in different colors. Let's go back again to edit, fill. Now it's already on color, right? So you kind of have to click color again for it to, so you have to choose color again. So even if you go with, you mentioned the text was going to be black. So then if you go to white, say you just happen to print it on white, it's still dependent on whatever the background is. And you don't want to be dependent on the background. So I'm just trying to teach you how to fill with color. So I'm just going to go image fill. You have to kind of reselect color. So click on color and choose color again to call this up. Maybe you happen to print on.
It's going to be on a teal banner.
Well, perfect example there. You printed on a teal banner. There you go. I don't know if the banner is going to be light or dark, but there's the teal banner. Say okay. Now you've got the problem of those, the color of those circles, because they are, there's no, distinction. Anyway, so here we go. This is why you don't want to have a logo or text depend on the background unless it is really big and fat and chunky, and it is the logo itself. If you're going to have small letters, they need to have their own background. That's all I'm trying to teach here. So
somehow I got stuck on the fill.
Okay.
Changing screens and all. It
okay, share your screen with me, and then I'll help you with the fill.
Yeah. Okay. And when I go to edit, which is fill,
Edit fill.
nothing happens.
Oh, because you're not selecting the bottom layer. So you have to select layer 1 at the bottom. If it's not selected. Yeah, it's always selected. 99, those of you who have been with me for a long time know my motto is I'd be so rich. No, don't say okay. Go to choose color there first. Yeah, go to color. And now choose any color, just click anywhere and then say okay, and it'll fill. And then you can choose another one. So if you ever doubt, because I'm not around, and you wonder, oh, what would Diana say? Basically, Diana would say, check your selection. Are you selecting the right thing? Because that is almost always the issue. And people think I'm a great teacher. It's just that I repeat the mantra. Did you select correctly? No, I'm joking. I actually do notice more than just selections, but that is usually the first thing that is the first problem. Really thirsty today. Don't know why. Okay.
You need to share again.
Yeah. All right. So no, anyway, it doesn't matter right now what color we're making it. What we don't want is to have a transparent background, and depending on small letters being in the background. So let's turn this little layer that we just created off for now. And instead, since our selection is still happening, see, because we were still filling, so the selection is still happening. When you want to be done, I don't need that selection anymore. Don't leave it there or things can get wonky. Either you go to the word select and deselect, or since we're selecting and deselecting all the time, I like to know the Control D for deselect is a good one. So Control or Command D if you're on a Mac, for deselecting. That's a good one to remember and to know. Okay, so now we deselected, we've turned off the eyeball of whatever color you ended up filling it last. Now, here we have so that was one problem I'm finding. That all it takes is just to expand this background there or to make a different color there. It's your choice. I guess I should ask Dorothy if she prefers there. But another little bit of an issue I'm having is with the fact that Santa Barbara County Genealogical Society is all round and whatnot. And then SBCGS is straight. Somehow
Gonna come out.
that,
Yeah.
what's that?
It's distracting. It's going to come out.
Mhm. So it either comes out or you put Santa Barbara County Genealogical Society and then SBCGS down there. And I'm just saying, because I tried it, I'm not sure that it's the happiest solution, but I'll show it to you. I was actually not intending to necessarily do more versions, but I was trying to figure out some stuff. What would be the easiest way to teach you certain things? So I tried doing it, and I still have that background, but I tried this, and it's too
Yeah.
big. I'm not sure that I'm that happy with it, but I thought I'd try that. Which if you need to have that in there, that makes a little bit more sense to me.
I think it needs to be smaller.
Now, when you take that out of there, then this tree is a little bit like floating around, right? So maybe everything needs to be a little bit smaller around the tree. So anyway, this was just a thought because I was going to teach you how to do this and I didn't want to spend too much time making one version if that wasn't going to work. If you're going to just leave it out, then that's probably the best solution. Or do you need that,
No.
the acronym in there? No?
No, it doesn't need to be
It
there.
is sometimes when something says something different, like Santa Barbara County, Society, or the other day I was doing a logo for the Boy Scouts who went, there was some information on the round one and at the bottom it said something else that adds to it. That makes sense, but this is a repetition of it. So I thought, yeah, I think the better solution is to not repeat it. Okay, good. Now, if you turn this sample off, this was something she did because in Illustrator, she had a bigger thing, and anyway, it had lines or whatever. So this is a good solution to leave a little bit of background, right? And then she put this in the bottom to fill it out, right? But she's just playing around. So this isn't that it was final. It's not that this isn't a criticism to her. This is the steps she was going through. And then here, this is all flattened. And see, for those of you who don't understand yet the power of layers, how when this is flattened, it's all one thing. You can't really play around and do anything to it. If you're going to build something in Photoshop, you have to build it all on separate layers. So the circle is one layer. The pink, let's call it pink circle, is one layer. The green circles are another layer and another layer, two separate layers. The text is another layer, and the top and the bottom, and then you can move everything around until everything fits, right? Notice, as I had said originally last week, that Santa Barbara here is off in distance from the S from the Y. So now I can't fix that easily, versus if it were on its own layer, just nudge it a little bit and it works, right? So what we're gonna do to recreate this, to recreate parts of this, is to build this again, using this as like a template for what she wants, but we're gonna build each part in a different layer. Does that make sense? So we're gonna turn that one off and turn it on when we want to kind of see where we should be going. But we're going to turn it off again. So basically right now what we have as central is this tree, which is the one file that I said for the true purposes of her assignment. I think it's the one that we need to make bigger. The color fill that we put in here is useless, so we can get rid of it. So let's go ahead and get rid of it, either dragging it down there like I did before, or right click and delete, for those of you who prefer right clicks. I don't, so I'll say delete it, say yes. For all the intensive purposes of what we're about to do, this one here is going to be very useful because it's going to be our template, but we don't need it for the final piece. And we've just decided that we don't need this either, right? Which is the one that was causing us the issues with the update. So let's get rid of this one because we're not going to use it. And we're basically left with the real useful one is this tree. So let's put this tree through that process of making it bigger, right? We're going to enhance it so that when we actually make this logo, we'll make it already at 3 times the size. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah,
So, all right. So let's select just this little bit. And to select just this little bit, you could grab a selection, drag like that, try to drag around it and but let me just show you a kind of neat trick. This is a cutout. It's kind of floating, right? So if you hold down the, okay, I forget that I'm on a PC. If you hold down the control key, or people who are on a Mac, the command key, and then just give a quick click to this layer, then whatever is there will get selected, which is kind of what we did to the mask earlier. Okay. So does everyone have that selected? You just hold down the control or command if you're on a Mac or on a PC, and then a quick click to these pixels, and you get this selection. Is everyone there? Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and copy that, control or command C, or if you like to go up here to edit, say edit, copy. Don't have to. Why don't I just, you know what? I'm not going to have us make a new file and save it. Let me just export from here. We'll learn something different. Forget what I just did. Control D. Control or Command D. Get rid of that selection. That's fine. I was going to have you make a new file, flatten it, save it as a JPEG. But you know what? As long as you turn this guy off, you don't want that layer and it's off, then we can export this as a JPEG. Because in order to do the enhanced work, you can't do it on a layered file. We need a JPEG. Okay. So let's go to File, Export as. Y'all with me?
Where's the export?
All the way up in File. We're not gonna finish this today, by the way. This is gonna be many steps, and I'm slowly teaching you things that we'll use for other files, and I'm teaching it to you here. So here we're going to export as. And here we are in our format that's ready to export, to save, to leave this file as is and to make a new version from this file with different file settings. Okay, so we're going to head over here and what file setting we want. In the format, we want to save a JPEG. So where it says PNG, click on that and shift to JPEG. Is everyone with me? Do I need to catch anyone up? Penelope and
Maybe. The problem I have is that I'm on one device, and when I minimize my screen, to see yours, I have to close the windows, and it's crazy.
I'm sorry.
It's not your fault.
No, I'm trying to not go
Yeah.
too fast, but I'm checking in. So if I forget to check in, just tell me, hey, slow me down.
Edit
So
file.
edit, export as.
Export as.
And then up here under file settings, you're going to go from PNG, which is the default, and go to JPEG. Now, the next time you come here, it might already be set at JPEG because this time you saved as JPEG. But at least for those of us who are using the VDI, or if you saved or you've never come here before, then it defaults to PNG to start with. So now you have it JPEG. We want it to be the highest quality because we don't want to lose any quality. So we leave it at 100% quality. We're not changing any of these settings. In fact, this is the first time that we come here to export as that I don't have you compress and change things. I want you to not compress as much as you can, not to compress. And let's say down here at the bottom, you see the little export. You're going to say export. Oh,
Yes.
no. Cancel. I must be sleepy. Say cancel, don't export. Are you with me?
Yeah.
The
Oh.
point I was doing this is that I didn't want this to happen. And then I just was talking to Penelope and I forgot. See what happened to the background that was transparent when you save as a JPEG? So when we were selecting PNG, see how this was still transparent? And when we went to save it as a JPEG, what happened? You can't have transparencies in JPEGs. So all the transparent stuff just turned white. So that is a whole bunch of wasted file because we don't need all that white. What we want that to be though, maybe, is instead of this square pink and then white, why don't we make all of this that same pink? Then when it's Illustrator, we can just mask the circle in Illustrator onto that circle and just cut out the exact pink circle. We're going to do that here in Photoshop, but it would be really useful for illustrators too. Instead of having a little square mask, out of which then I need to put on top of a pink circle, trying to show you how you want to think. You want to just have the color you want, which is pink all the way out, and then mask it out with a circle on top of it, as we know how to do now with the door, right? Does that make sense, you guys? And you can change however big or small you want that circle. It's always going to be just pink under it. So I wanted to bring you here to see how it's just impossible to have transparency. As soon as you turn it into JPEG, it flattens. And when it flattens, the default flattening is white. So let's head over to cancel. And now here, what we're going to do is we're going to make this background all pink. Okay, so let's, I'm going to do control minus, so you see your whole background, right? I'm going to center this tree because it's not centered in here. And one thing I didn't want to talk about yet is that this tree isn't really centered to the circle. Since I knew I was going to have this change, this, it didn't matter. But it is a little bit heavier or different weight on the left or on the right, but it's not really centered.
It needs to be larger also.
Yeah. So you either are going to make it larger, or in this case, since we're going to enlarge it a bunch, later we'll end up making it the right size that we need it to be. None of this file is going to stay because this file is only 4x4 and we're going to be working with a bigger file. So basically this is going to be just a template that we're going to use later. So let's just fill this surrounding areas of this tree with that pink. How do we do that? Well, we need to select all this emptiness. So what's the easiest way to select emptiness? Well, I don't know about the easiest way. Quick way would be to click from here to there, right? Don't touch any of the green, just touch the pink. Let me just show you. There's like 25 ways to do this. One way to do this would be to do that. You don't want to encroach on the fuzziness. Hold down Shift, then you do this, and this is not the easiest way, so don't do it this way. I'm just showing you one slow way, but that would work. Then you select that, and I'm holding Shift. So remember how when you select Shift, you can keep selecting more and more and more. So basically, I am selecting all this emptiness. Now, why is this not too good? Because of this thing. I'm not sure where that fuzziness ends. But once I let go of the Shift, see how I have a marching ants inside and outside? It's like a donut. The whole thing is pink. That's one way to do it. It's not the best way to do it. So if you did follow me around with this, let's do Command D. Many times you do need to know how to select outside areas. And so that would be a quick way. I prefer to do what we did before, put in a pink layer underneath and then flatten them. then there's no way to encroach on that green. Does that make sense? And what I mean by that green, over here, this little bit of fuzziness, if you happen to just kind of select right there a little bit in, then you lose kind of that haziness. And so you don't want to lose any of that haziness, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to create a flat, an empty layer right in between these two. To do that, you need to select the bottom layer and do a new layer, okay? Do that again. Between these two, the new layer always is going to be made on top of whatever you select. So if I select the tree, the new layer will be made on top, and then we'll have to drag it to the middle. That's fine too. We just want it to end at the bottom. Okay. Now we're going to do our good old Control A to fill, to select all of the empty layer. Are you all following me? Empty layer. Now we're going to go to the good old Edit Fill, Color. But this time we don't want to choose a color. We just want to go here and sample this one. Bing. There we go. We don't have to decide what color we want. And I move my mouse out of here into here. Did this work for everyone?
No, I got green. I got the
Well,
color.
here's your eyedropper, right? So you want the tip of your eyedropper not to be green.
I didn't get the eyedropper.
No,
You guys don't get the eyedropper?
nope.
Okay. So when you click on color here, your mouse is here. When you put it out, your mouse out of here, it's an eyedropper. Is that not happening to you?
I don't know. Let's try this again. Edit. Fill.
Color picker, once you move it out, your mouse out, it turns into an eyedropper and you can click on the pink.
It didn't.
Yes.
Okay. So
Okay.
I'm gonna cancel and have you guys share your screens because I don't know what's happening. That's two of you saying it's not working. So then I need to see if maybe it's a glitch or something. One of you guys for whom it's not working, please share your screen.
Okay, I'll do it.
Fine,
I couldn't find it.
perfect.
Okay.
Okay, so go to Edit Fill.
Edit fill. I got the eyedropper, but then when I selected
Fill
it,
color. Okay, go to go to color. But you have to bring up the, click on color
oh,
and then choose color again.
color again.
Yep, that guy. Okay, now go. There you go. Click on that. Perfect. You got it. Now say okay.
We're here, I guess.
Yep. Mhm. I just didn't go that far. You were saying you couldn't get the eyedropper, so, and then say okay. And then it'll fill.
I don't get the eyedropper.
Okay, so now since
I'll
you got
stop.
it, let me get Dorothy to share. Yeah, can you share, please, Dorothy?
That's good.
Okay, so go get the color, click on color again. Remember I told you you need to kind of reselect color. Click there and click color again. Yeah. Now
Okay.
move your
I did.
move your mouse out to the pink.
Click it
Put
twice.
your mouse on the pink. Put your mouse on the pink. Yeah, click. There you go. You got the pink. Say okay. And then say okay again. And your thing will show up. Okay. So one thing I just want to warn you guys, whenever you say, no, it's not happening to me, and I repeat the steps, to not just sit there, but to listen to the steps, because I kept saying, make sure you click on color and then on color again, which is what the one step that you guys hadn't done. I know it's late and it's tired and it's weird. What do you mean? Click color and then click on color again.
Right.
But yeah, it's got that little extra uncomfortableness of to have to click color again, because we had already just picked color.
Yeah.
So it needs to be told again. All right, so here we go. Okay, and okay. And that filled up with pink. And now it all looks like you can tell the difference between one and the next, right?
Right.
So one thing I want us to do, I'm gonna Control or Command D to get rid of that selection, right? I want us to go to the tree and do our best to center this. And now what do I mean by that? You can either have it done automatically, but if you just make sure you have the move tool with you. If you grab this and just start clicking around until you see your green, your pink, that pink line turned on, that means that it's centered to the one of the lines is centered. Then you start moving it once you get there to the right or to the left, and wait to see if you get that middle line. You might get it to show us a smart guide without having to really guess. And it's not popping up. I don't know, it's not popping up. It's showing me the center for the middle, but not the other center. Sometimes the smart guides just give us that. Oh, it just gave me. It just did for a second, give me one, but it disappeared. There.
Yeah.
It does it, it flashes for a minute.
Yeah.
Then they disappear. But anyway, you got the point. Some for some of you guys, it might have worked best, but anyway, even one centering is better than none. All right. Okay. Let's now that it's the right color, do exactly what we were going to do last, which was go ahead and do export and export as. But now it won't be a problem because when we go from PNG to JPEG, we are all pink. Okay. Now we don't know how much pink we'll need. We probably need less than this, but we don't want to, you know, cut it short. So that's good. Is everyone here?
No.
Okay, I went to export as. I went up to file, export as.
Okay, and then we get JPEG.
And then we switched to JPEG.
Good.
Right? We're not gonna compress or do all the other stuff we like to do in here. We're just gonna say export, bottom right, export, blue button, yeah? Hit export. And we're going to save this in our working folder, but we're not gonna leave it, call it start. We're gonna call this one flat. Or maybe SBAGS logo underscore, not necessarily flat, but let's call it tree flat or something like that, so that we know that we've just got the tree with its pinkish stuff. Yeah. And then it's going to save as a JPEG because that's what we're exporting. So we'll say yay, save. How are you doing, Vera? Everything's good? And
mine says all files. It doesn't say it's JPEG.
show me. I mean, if you export it as JPEG, it should be raw file.
It says all files.
Oh, all files. No, it's okay. The file name finishes in .jpeg, and if you maybe deleted it, don't worry. Just write it in, right?
So what did we call the file? What was the file name? I erased
I
it.
just called it tree because it isn't the whole logo. It was the logo, the tree part of the logo. So I just left SBJS or whatever that is, logo dash tree flat. Santa Barbara County SBCGS logo tree. Okay.
I saved mine, but up at the top, you know, the name of the file that I have now, it says logo start.
Yeah, because see, I'm also at logo start. Why is that? Because we did an export as, okay, this is important, good question. This file is still my layered one. This is not flat. See how it's my layered one?
Not
I
showing.
didn't save as a JPEG, which would have left the JPEG open and this one closed. We did an export. Okay,
PNG.
what?
It's saved as a PNG.
Okay, so then share your screen because it shouldn't be a PNG and I don't know where to
Share
straighten
screen,
you out.
share. Share tree flat dot JPEG dot PNG.
Okay, so then go back to Photoshop. We'll do it really quickly again. Go back to down at the bottom to Photoshop.
Photoshop.
Yeah. Yeah, so go do an export as again.
Plus export. It was in file. right?
There it is at 2, 3 up. Yeah, perfect.
Export as.
Export as. Mhm.
Oh, there it is. That's the JPEG.
And then go to the top and switch it to JPEG.
Ah, somehow it didn't get changed or
That's
changed
fine.
back.
And now go say export at the bottom.
And we
And
want to
then instead of start, just call it
tree flat.
just tree flat and then save.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, and as Dorothy noted, and everyone pay attention, you are back in that start file. That JPEG got exported as a file of its own. So this is not a save as where we were left with our flat file. We still have this one open because we want this little thing to be used as a template. We just need to enhance that other guy, and we're going to do that from Bridge.
So which one are we
Oh.
going to use? The flat file or the PSD?
We're going to use both. We're going to use the flat file to start with, but then from here, we're going to grab this guy of all things. We're going to grab the bottom layer, the one that's the sample that you made, to keep it as a guide, although basically you want 2 circles and the text in there, but we're going to use that as a template. Does that make sense?
Kind of.
Let's wait until we get there. Wait until we get there. The first, what we need to do right now, which is all we'll have time to do today, is we have 5 more minutes to go. We're going to double the size of that tree. Okay? Without messing up the pixels. So how do we do that? Let me share my screen.
In which file are we doing this in?
Hold on, hold on. We're going to go to Bridge. We're going to do it on the other one. We're going to do it to the file that we just made a JPEG of.
Okay.
Because this process can't be done to the layered file. So we're going to go to Bridge. Everyone go to Bridge. We're going to navigate on Bridge to find your files. So I'm going to go over to this PC, Google Drive, my drive. I say it out loud, though none of you are left on PDI. So you guys go find wherever you saved your file. And here's mine, logo tree flat. Let's go ahead and now we're going to, once you find it, right click and open in Camera Raw.
Ooh. Didn't do that.
Well, you didn't know this. I didn't teach it. I only taught it the last day of the last Photoshop class.
You're
Or
right.
the next to last. So
All
now
right.
I'm teaching it to you guys in here. Right click, open in Camera Raw.
Okay, I'll open in camera. Got it.
Penelope, are you with me if I click on this?
I accidentally clicked on open in Photoshop. So I'm in Photoshop.
Okay, so then just close it from Photoshop, come back to Bridge and right click and open in Camera Raw. I'll wait for you here until you tell me you did it. Just come back to Bridge and open again, but say open in Camera Raw.
So I get welcome
Don't
to
say
camera.
open. Yeah, exactly. Hold on, I'm waiting for Penelope. If it says welcome, you're in the right place. Give me a second. When you come here, you don't say open, you right click. And then you don't go to open, you go down to open in Camera Raw. Are you with me, Penelope? If it says welcome to Camera Raw, say yes, okay, or continue, or whatever it asks you to say, so that you end up here. Penelope? Where are you at? Hello? Okay, I'll continue then.
I don't know
Um,
what screens I'm in.
okay, so just tell me where you're at and I'll see how to help you.
Cannot start screen, no, let's see, I don't know, if I go into Photoshop, I have the pink Gerber, Daisy,
Yeah, so close Photoshop, or not close Photoshop, just leave Photoshop, go to Bridge.
Bridge. I went to Bridge.
Okay.
Okay, I'm in Bridge, and that's,
Find this flat JPEG that we just made,
yes, got it,
right click on it,
yeah, I did,
open in Camera Raw.
yeah, it's open. I'm
Cool.
pretty sure.
All right. Dorothy, did you say okay, yes, welcome, whatever you needed to say so that you're here with me?
I am,
Okay, good.
So do we click on open again?
Open in Camera Raw, and then you should be exactly where I am, which is not open again. You're right here.
Let's see if I can minimize it. How do I get it smaller? So I can,
Okay, just don't say open again. You're basically in a thing which you see the tree in the middle, and on the right it says basic or something like that. Yeah? I mean, if you open in Camera Raw, you're probably in the same place as me.
I think so.
Yeah, you're fine.
Just edit
Now-
profile basic, yeah, okay, got it.
Good. Now, what you do need to probably watch me do is that at the bottom left of the screen, it says
Screen,
fit some number percent, which will be different than mine, 100%. And then you have the first little click, the first little icon there. If you click on it one time, you'll get like an expansion, a little repeat small tree at the bottom left.
yes,
Again, did that work? Okay. Now, this one, what we're going to do, we're going to click on this 3 little dots.
3 little dots where, under the film strip?
No, yeah, the little tiny tree that's in the film strip, hover over it with your mouse and you get 3 little dots.
Yes,
Click on those 3 little dots and then go to the word enhance. So there's no technique to this. There's just knowing to click on that icon and then on these 3 little dots and then on enhance. That's it. And then when you get to the window that comes next, it says enhance preview. And then you're going to get this choice. You probably are in raw details as your default, and you need to click on super resolution. Okay.
yes,
Now, if you look to the left, you guys, this is what the super resolution is going to give us, which it's not necessarily the best choice. I've already told Dorothy, I think this should have been traced and done in Illustrator, but this is as good as we can get it in Photoshop. Okay. We're getting it done in Photoshop, making it bigger, and between how it was before, and the before is turn that little check mark off and see it's the same. It didn't get any worse, it's just bigger. But it's not like the lines around the little kind of, I want to call them lemon drops, got any whiter. You just see them a bit more because they're bigger, but it's kind of the same. Does that make sense? Now this is making it doubled. So before it was 4x4, the entire file, not the tree. The tree is much less, right? But the whole pink background was 4x4. Now it's going to be 8x8. All right, so let's now say enhance.
so we want super resolution check.
Super resolution, and then you click on enhance. So when it's done, it said it would take about 3 seconds, whatever. Notice the difference here. Watch my screen. The left one is the one that we started with. And if I look down here at the details, it says Adobe RGB 8-bit, 1182 pixels by 1223 pixels, 1.4, 300 PPI. Now, the one to the right is the one that's been doubled in size. And if I look at the bottom, yep, double the amount of pixels. And it's gotten much bigger. As far as file size, still 300 PPI. Does that
Where-
make sense?
Where are you reading that?
Okay, so watch my screen. When I click, I'm gonna put on the spotlight, and class has been over for a few minutes, so just let's do this and then we'll be done. When I click on this one, down here, I read the details of this file, and it's telling me 1182 by 1223. When I click on this one on the next to it, which is the new one we just created, it gives me double the amount of pixels. See that? Double the amount of pixels. And yet, when I look at it, it looks pretty much just as good.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's bigger. Mhm.
Now, if we want to risk trying to make it another time, like enhance it one more time, let's see how it goes. We start with this new one this time, the big one, the second one. Go to the same dots and we say enhance. Oh, that's true. Last time I tried to do this way too, and it doesn't do it because now it's a raw. You need to make it another flat again. Let's just leave it one size up. Okay, and now we're done. We'll say done. Far bottom right of this whole camera raw, we're going to say done. Okay, far camera right, camera raw, the whole window, we'll say done. So now we have two versions of the same thing. The one that we started with, the logo flat JPEG, and the one that just got made for us, which kept the same name. I'm going to make it bigger so you guys can read the name better. And it's basically the same name, but the name enhanced got added to it. But it got saved as a DNG, which is a raw file. So in order for it to be ready for next week, we're going to have to open it and turn it back into, we're going to open it again in Photoshop. And so that's what we're going to do next. We're going to open this in Photoshop. Okay. So this file, wherever you have it, please save it, because it's what we're going to open next week in Photoshop. I am actually going to copy these two in case someone shows up next week that doesn't have them. And I'm going to drag them and put them in. I'm going to copy them into the, let me see if I can just do it this way. No, it's not going to let me. I'm going to have to do it from I'm going to put these, what?
Isn't it already saved as enhanced DNG?
Yeah. But in case someone shows up next week that doesn't have these, I'm going to make a copy to have them start with these. But you guys start with the one that you have.
Right.
Okay. So I'm going to copy somewhere else. You guys, I'm going to move it to Photoshop Shared Drive. Download Photoshop classes file summer 22. There we go. So I just moved them there. Let me see that they're there. And it's just that if someone shows up last week and didn't do the homework or the video and didn't do the work and they need to catch up, I don't want to be dealing with it next week. I just want to put them here today. And they're not here. I'll do it a different way. Okay. All right, guys. We're well on our way to working with this file. It's gonna, next week we'll be doing text and stuff like that and other layers. Go ahead, and if you have some other awesome ideas of masking or creating a collage, you guys did so well this week. I'm inspired to request that you do some more, because there's always much more learning in that, and you all did really fun stuff. Work with files that you have, work with mine again. If you work with mine, make copies of them so that when I want to work with them in class, they're still intact. Just remember to do that. And yeah, I'll see you in 2 days. So there's not much time, but if you have time to play a little bit, that'll be good. Okay. Any questions? Any final? Forget that I have to stop sharing when I'm saying my goodbyes. Otherwise, you're saying goodbye to the bridge screen.
Your new internet is wonderful.
Oh my God,
It-
what a
The whole
difference.
class went much more smoothly.
Oh, I know. I'm so sorry for how messed up it was yesterday, last Thursday, but it's great. I was so anxious this morning when he came and installed it. The moment I connected, we don't even have 5G in Santa Barbara. It doesn't exist. And I first signed up and I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. It's so fast. It's just like, yes, blazing saddles or whatever those things are called anyway. So yeah, very fun. All is good. That part got taken care of the first week, but now we need to keep learning. So keep working, doing stuff. I'll keep finding some fun stuff for us to do. But if you, again, provide material, I am very happy to use material to adapt what we're learning to your actual work. I know Patricia, you're working on a book and you haven't shown me any of that. So if there's any question you have there of something that might help us, help you move forward with your book, please let me know, because as you can see, I'm happy to work with real material.
I'm learning Mac.
Yeah,
Remember,
that's
I
true.
switched from a PC to a Mac.
To a Mac, I
I'm
know.
still organizing, but I'm there.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Bye guys
Diana.
then. See you guys in 2 days.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.